All right, welcome everyone. Welcome to Masters of Email Marketing, the sequel. This is our second like such big international event. The last one we held was in August 2021. And this time, at the time, we talked about the anatomy of a perfect newsletter, what to consider when you are creating one. We talked about email deliverability, and we talked about email strategy to reach your goals. This time, the event is even better because we have 4 great speakers, I think the most
well-known all over the world.
best experts in their field, at least. The event is being recorded, so if you are late or want to watch it later, then we will publish it on our YouTube page, and it's going to be hosted also on our Facebook page, on Smaily Facebook page. Tanel is going to send the links later to the chat, so you can check it out yourself. In our YouTube page, actually, we have a lot of other interesting webinars and like tutorials so about this email marketing overall. So if you are just at the beginning or already an established email marketer, I think there's always a good time to learn something new. I hope everyone will get something new today also. And yeah, this is how we're going to roll. The first presenter or speaker today is yanna-torry Asparki, I'm sorry, from Email Console. She is going to talk about Gmail inboxing, thinking out of the box. So I think it's something to do with how to get your emails delivered to your Gmail inbox. Is it, Janna?
Yes, we are. A lot of people have been complaining about their emails landing in spam, especially with Google. So we'll talk about that a little bit today.
But what about promotional tabs?
Yeah.
Is it
good? It's still the inbox.
It's still inbox. All right,
it is still the inbox. If you're talking about you're promoting an event or your book or your company or your promotions, promoting the promotions, it's going to the promotions tab. But the most important thing to understand is that not everyone has the tabs, first of all. And the second thing is that Google wants to put the emails where the actual subscriber wants to receive them. So I might get your emails in the promotions tab because that's how I play around in my inbox, and other people might not. So it's a case by case. It's not a deliverability thing. It's just like how Instagram knows I like looking at nice, cute little pictures of dogs instead of makeup, and my sister gets all the makeup stuff. It just works that way. So you don't have to worry. And there are a lot of studies that show that it actually helps with the open rates. It reduces spam complaints. So I don't see what the problem is, but of course I'm the I'm the messenger.
because we have like huge amount of questions that, okay, this promotion tab, no one wants and no one looks there. Okay, there is the social media tab also, but yeah, I know that all my LinkedIn and Facebook information goes there. If I need something more, let's say, informational or I have to, then I put this to the update tab. But and then those questions that, okay, nobody wants it. It's the same like the spam. I want it to the primary. I just need it to be in the primary.
I know there are probably 2 types of people: those who want their emails always to be in the inbox. I don't know how they can live their lives in such an organized way. And the other people who think that only the emails from my granny are okay in the inbox, and everything else, which is promotion, should be in promotion. This is like me.
Yeah, it's if you're willing to, if you're expecting to reply back to an email, that's where the email should be, in the inbox. When I'm starting to work, and then there's a couple of emails sometimes that, unfortunately, instead of going to the promotion tab, they ended up in the inbox. I have to go through all these emails to get to the actual email I have to answer back at 9 o'clock in the morning. I don't want that. I want those emails out of the way. And when I'm bored, I'm more willing to buy stuff when I'm not annoyed. Put the emails in the promotions tab. And also, like, the people, like, how do they know Well, if you're sending from an email marketing software provider, Smaily, MailChimp, it's obviously a promotional email. You're not doing inbound, perfect one-on-one emails. That's why you're using email marketing products. Those are going to go in the promotions tab most of the time.
All right, sounds really interesting.
Yep.
So cannot wait to hear what you're going to tell us today.
Okay, I'll share my screen. Please don't mind the sarcasm. I say it lightly and I think it's funny. In the email geeks world, I think we all can be a little bit sarcastic by repeating the same kind of problems, just like the first question, is it a problem or not? So email is not that difficult. It might be a little bit complicated, but it's not difficult. Everything is based on logic. And the one thing that's the most important is to be in the right mindset. If you're in the wrong mindset, you might make some mistakes, even though they sound logical in that space. So let's start. Hopefully I am clicking on the right screen. Yes. Okay. So everything starts with a domain reputation. What I like to compare deliverability and domain reputation to is your Equifax score. So for all Americans, which I would be very surprised you guys are here at 3 a.m. in the morning. But in Canada and the United States, we have a credit score system. So if you want to buy a house, you want to get a credit card, whatever, you need to have good credit. And okay, so the domain reputation is what the inboxes are going to look at. There isn't, unfortunately, an actual Equifax that's giving you a score. You have a reputation with each mailbox provider. In the case of Google, over the years, their spam filters, their decision-making has changed quite a lot. And recently it is changing faster and faster and faster. Technology is just getting easier to build, apparently. So Google has more eyes and can make better decisions based on what they think their customers want. And that's where the problem starts. Our subscribers might be our audience, but they are not only our own customers, sometimes they are the mailbox's customers. Those subscribers on my list that are Gmail wants to make sure that they're happy once they go in their inbox. So the reputation we have is not only going to be, overall, do I have a lot of spam complaints, or overall, am I hitting a lot of spam traps, or overall, do all the mailbox providers hate me or have a problem with me? When it comes to email, you have this overall reputation, and then you got this one-on-one reputation with every single mailbox. So Google might be super happy and Hotmail might not be, and vice versa. When it comes to getting the emails in the inbox, one of the biggest changes is that certain companies have really good reputation. They're sending the right messages at the right time. They don't have high spam complaints. They're not, abusing their customers' attention. They're sending that one email a week and everything is fine. But the thing that Google does is that it's starting to work more and more like social media. There's certain emails that me, yanna-torry, I might not care about. So we're thinking about, let's say, a pharmacy sending you emails. I don't have children. I don't care about baby products. So those are the emails I'm going to tend to ignore because I don't need anything in that email. There's no value to me. When it comes to maybe, I don't know, shampoo or makeup or perfumes, let's say, I might be more interested in that because it's something I would buy. Those emails, I'm going to engage with them a little bit more. Over time, the spam filters are going to figure this out, and then Google is going to start making decisions for me, not because the sender reputation is bad, not because you have bad deliverability, just because on the subscriber side, I might not be interested in all of your accept and have to store for no reason, especially if nobody looks at it. So it is very, very important. We always talk about, the right message, the right person at the right time. It is extremely important because if you're not making the decision in terms of segmentation, who gets what and when, then Google is going to do it for you. They're going to decide for you who gets what message. And at some point, you can just see how that can skew a lot of decisions you're making. You're basing a lot of your data on the opens and the clicks and all these things that are already difficult to measure correctly. They've never been measured correctly. It's just technology. And now you are going to make future decisions based on that information. And if you had known that Google was, blocking 30% of your list, or certain people weren't seeing messages, it might have been a spam filter opening an email, or clicks that were generated 300 times. we would have a little bit better control. So it's important to understand that, you know, don't shoot the messenger. I'm not here to tell you to send less emails. It just has to be very valuable. You want people to be engaging with it. And one very logical thing to think about is about, let's go to the, never on the right screen, next screen. List hygiene. Lists are the first thing they're gonna say anything about you. If you have, for example, it's very simple. It's a computer at the end of the day, right? When it comes to Google, when it comes to list hygiene, the most important thing is making sure that these spam filters can't recognize anything negative from it. So of course, if you have a list with high spam complaints, humans are telling spam filters they don't want your email anymore, right? If you are sending emails and you're never accumulating subscribers, you're just, you know, you're just passing through more and more and more, and none of them are the permanent ones, then the spam filters, especially Google, is going to start noticing that maybe you're, especially if it's the same message, you're just, you know, running through lists and you might not have consent, you might not have permission, or you just might not be as interesting because you're just trying. It is extremely important that your list grows organically, that you have certain people that are continuously engaging with you, or else the ratios are going to fall off. So the first one, for astonish, a little bit of sarcasm there, it is just important to take a hard look at our list. We have to look at our list and pretend we're a computer, because it is a computer. It's not a human at Google Tinder swiping your email in or out of the inbox. It is a computer that has a set of rules, a set of algorithms, a set of, you know, middle places there, and they're going to make the decisions for you. So look at your list. If you're a mattress store, and I like using this example, and you sold yanna-torry a mattress, cool. Do you think sending me an email tomorrow is going to maybe buy another one? Probably not. So when we're looking at our list, we not only need to remove unengaged users, but we need to try and understand our customers better, our audiences better, because Google definitely knows what the audience wants. We don't have that information. And it's like doing your taxes at the end of the year. The government tells you to do your taxes. They know how you may, but they won't tell you unless you tell them. And if you don't tell them correctly, then they fine you. Same thing here. You don't want to have that problem. So take care of your list, look at them, like be really strict at your list. Are people engaging? What are they engaging with? You might realize that certain people are engaging with certain types of content. Segment them. There's no point in receiving all the 10 million emails you have to write. Also, how do you guys end up writing so many emails? I know I'm not on the marketing side, but some companies send an email like twice a day. That is a lot of investment and time put into writing content. Put that time in segmentation. Just in terms of math, the numbers are going to grow. And in terms of deliverability, you're just never going to have to take another deliverability talk, because you're going to be doing fine. The other thing, which we're going to talk about a little bit more, are the bounces. Bounces contain so much information. I'm pretty sure everybody here has sent an email with a typo in it, and then the inbox tells you, hey, we couldn't deliver the email because of XYZ reason. A bounce message has it's almost a paragraph in most cases. ESPs like to organize and take care of it for you so that you don't send to bounces over and over again. But one thing that's super interesting to look at is the reason. There's hundreds of types of hard bounces, hundreds of types of soft bounces. Some of them are very simple, like the email doesn't exist. And other ones, like from Microsoft, will tell you, we don't like your emails, or there has been a lot of complaints. We're not going to be accepting your emails anymore. That is a message I would like to know about. If I'm sending campaigns and all I see is a soft bounce or a hard bounce, okay, fine. I would just assume the email doesn't exist. Unfortunately, bounces have a lot more messages. So it's extremely important to look at what they're saying. Because if Hotmail starts saying, hey, we're junking your emails, the next step is, hey, we're blocking your emails. And we don't want to have any of those issues. And the third one, I know it's a big topic, especially for Americans. We're allowed to buy lists and so on, but consent. Legal or not legal, the issue is that Google spam filters want their customers to receive engaging, important emails. So even if the law might allow you or not allow you, or whatever the situation is, depending on where you do business, consent is important because it can be seen through a computer. If I'm sending thousands of emails and the same 3 people, like my mom and my husband, are opening the emails, they're going to assume rather quickly that people don't want my emails. it's just easy. As time progresses, like we had said earlier, if my list is always rotating new people and I never have this basis that's slowly, organically growing, that I'm constantly sending emails to, it is very obvious what I'm doing. Consent is really important. And at this point, it's not even a legal issue. It's really a spam filter issue. The inboxes don't want to allow it anymore. And no matter how much I complain and customers complain to me, I can't do it. I don't work at Google or Microsoft or any of these companies. We cannot change it. So it's extremely important to make sure that you're reducing the spam complaints and that you're not showing any red flags that would prove to a computer that you don't have any consent. This is really, really important. Annoying, but important. So the bounce management. For people who have their internal infrastructure, it is super important to check every now and then that you are looking at all the bounce types and that you're reading the messages to ensure that you have great reputation either with Google and also all the other mailboxes. You want to do a huge deep dive and see, are there certain campaigns that are creating or generating certain types of bounces that are more reputational instead of technical? Of course, if an email that doesn't exist, it can't go anywhere. But if the issue is that Google is trying to let you know, like, hey, you're sending too many emails too quickly, that bounce message will provide the information. And you definitely want to do something about it. And of course, bounces tend to happen. Email addresses exist or not exist. I've changed domain names or for my inbox multiple times. So at some point, all the emails I was subscribed to, of course, I hard bounced. So making sure that you're cleaning your list, and not only through engagement, but through list cleaners every so often. It depends how quickly your list is growing and how many emails you're sending. If you're waiting every 6 months to send an email, maybe you should clean your list right before, just to make sure that you don't have a nice boost of bounces at the same time. So that's going to be the most important thing, because it is what's proving to Google the first thing of you're doing something good or you're doing something bad. It's and also they're telling you, it's a message, it's a text back from Google saying stop, you should stop. When it comes to unsubscribe and spam complaints, there's a lot of things that are extremely interesting to understand. Unsubscribes are not a bad thing. Making an unsubscribe really difficult is a bad thing. Google can, if Google is showing or rendering an email to a customer, it's because they can read the code of the email. Therefore, they can render it for you. They know when people are putting the unsubscribe white on white, or they know when the font's too tiny. They can see all the tricks. We've been doing all these things for like how many years now. Trust me when I say they have counteracted most of our clever ideas for hiding the unsubscribe link. Just put it. It is a lot better to have somebody unsubscribe than report your email as spam. The annoying thing with spam complaints, and this is extremely important to understand, is that most mailbox providers do not offer a feedback loop with the email address in there. This means that I might complain in my inbox that I don't like your email, but you will never know. You will never have my email address so that you can remove me and say, yanna-torry doesn't want my emails anymore, or she's really pissed at me for now. So it's very, very important to look at that engagement again, bring in list cleaning again, because you're going to notice there's certain people that never engage. They don't engage, or when the clicks happen in an email and you go look at your Google Analytics, you realize the person was on the website for like a fraction of a second. Probably not a human who did that 300 times. These are spam filters. Anybody who has a wide audience of people using their phones to look at emails have a higher chance of getting those spam filters opening and clicking emails, especially if you're not sure if your deliverability is doing well or not. So it's extremely important to be really, really selective, to really try to segment people, to remove people from your list, because a spam complaint is a huge issue. It is the #1 red flag proving that people don't want to receive your emails. And the last thing we want to do is other people who wanted to receive your emails to not receive them anymore. So with spam complaints, you can definitely go to a website. I will show you guys a website from MOG. You see, I look at the article very often. So if you go to mog.org/FBL resources, they're going to tell you the 3 types of spam, feedback loops that we have. So we have traditional IP-based, aggregated, or domain-based, and that's on the customer side. So IP-based, you know, sender IP, and domain-based, sender domain. And they will tell you the ones that give you feedback loops. As you can see here, there are not a lot of, I hope you can see, and it's not like tiny. There's not that many inboxes that personally I would care about. The aggregated ones, Gmail and Outlook, single spam, they don't tell you who, which really creates an issue for us. So it's very, very, very important that you take a hard look at your list, and you're very mean, and you pretend that I'm your little angel or devil on your shoulders telling you to remove those contacts, because unfortunately, you don't get the information to make better decisions. It's on you to kind of know your customers and remove them from cycles. Google's job is not to make your life easier to spam or to email more, right? So they're going to be there, and it's going to be a hard no if people start reporting your emails as spam. Then there's the fun things that it's always related to the list. People like to make fun of it, but like 99% of the problems when people come on the website and ask me for consulting, the main issue is a list issue. Most of the time is a list issue. It is very rare that is a spoofing, phishing issue, or if not, it's a technical issue. But if you're using an email marketing software provider, there are very rare technical issues that can happen that would hurt your deliverability. So spam traps. So spam traps are really fun. They're these email addresses that everybody has created and hidden on the internet to catch people who are sending emails without consent. Microsoft has them, Google has them, and they are the second red flag that will really affect your emails. Things happen. Email addresses that used to exist become spam traps. Others are dedicated. They've always been a spam trap. So there's different levels. And what is the most important is the amount of time you're sending to those emails. So if an email address became a spam trap, for example, and you keep sending, you don't know because it's a real inbox, the email gets received. If after some while the email's still in your list, they obviously didn't engage, they obviously didn't buy anything, they didn't reply back, they don't do anything. These are inboxes with no humans behind them. Then the mailbox provider like Google is going to start saying, hey, you're sending it, and that's it. You don't care about any results. You don't care about anything else. If on the contrary, you clean your list and at some point those people you see, they're not engaging anymore, you remove them, then Google is not going to say, hey, you're bad, you were sending for a couple of months, because they know that it was organic. They used to be a person and they're not anymore. When it comes to spam traps, it takes a really, really long time for an email address that used to exist for a human to become an actual spam trap. This takes years. So you've had a contact in your list. It's never purchased anything or done anything for at least 2 years. Complete list cleaning removes a lot of problems here, as you can see. When it comes to block lists, Gmail doesn't, I don't want to say something that sounds false, but Gmail doesn't really care as much. Not that they don't care, they obviously care. It's just that they have a spam filter that they really trust. They're looking at what their customers are doing inside the inbox. They're seeing what people want to receive, what they don't want to receive. Of course, looking at block lists, but they're very confident in decisions that they're making. So block lists might not affect you as much when it comes to your Google inboxes, as long as you have high engagement, low spam complaints, you got all the nice green flags. Block lists can be detrimental. The spam house block list Microsoft will immediately bounce every single message telling you, hey, you're on spam house, we're not accepting emails. Gmail is a little bit more lenient because they have so many other touch points that they're looking at. Not that you shouldn't worry about it. I'm going to assume strongly that your email list is not only comprised of Google addresses, but if you have a couple of red flags and you are on a block list, you're hitting spam traps, you don't clean your list, the content's not wanted, these things pile up. And then Google is going to be angry at you. The one great thing about Google is that they don't, unless something cataclysmic happens, they don't block you in the space of a day. I know that they did a couple of bigger spam updates, spam filter updates, and some people kind of got hurt one day to the other. But when it comes to what you were doing, if you have been doing something for a very long time, Google is going to start hurting your reputation or not accepting your emails anymore. But it does take time. So don't wait until people complain that their emails are landing in the inbox. Make sure to fix any red flags that you see before then. If you see red flags, Google definitely sees them. content and design isn't as important as people sometimes make it sound to be. Porn industry is sending emails, those emails are landing in the inbox. Pharmaceutical companies sending emails, those emails are landing in the inbox. The exclamation points in your subject lines aren't the issue. Mainly when it comes to Google, we want some consistency. And mainly when I say Google, I mean everybody as well, but I know some people have had issues with Google lately. The content isn't the issue. If you're pivoting and you're changing your tone and you're changing what you're talking about a lot, you're not giving enough information to Google to make a decision on who you are and what you send. That might make it difficult for you. So the best example I'll give you was Louis Vuitton during the first lockdown of the pandemic. So, you know, Louis Vuitton was all there about selling, big price tag, the whole shebang. At some point, COVID came in, and then what kind of emails started coming out? Oh, we care about you and we love you, and like, what can we do for you? And it's like, it's a big brand. I don't think you care about me. But anywho, Google was like, whoa, 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 whoa. They were talking about this. They were selling, showing all these purses and these shoes and everything. And now they sound like, you know, they have a psychiatrist working, writing emails. What is happening? So when they did that pivot on the marketing side, it made sense, of course. But the spam filters didn't like it because they didn't know what to expect. They weren't expecting that kind of message. So it took time for a lot of businesses to regain their deliverability without even knowing it, because they pivoted the content so quickly. Google was unsure if the emails came from that person or not, or company. Content and everything else is all about taking your time. So if you need to pivot rather quickly, you need to keep the same tone of voice, you need to keep the same links there, you need to keep it as similar as possible to make sure that the spam filters aren't surprised. Or you can do it very slowly, just like Black Friday. Black Friday has started earlier and earlier and earlier every year. The sales hasn't actually gone up or down that much more, which you're just sending more emails for nothing. But it has given the time for certain companies to make sure that they can ramp up towards the sell and buy my stuff right now kind of content that they don't usually send all year long. Also, I mean, Black Friday is not the other time of year people buy stuff. So use your whole calendar year. Don't fit in those boxes, because then you're competing with other inboxes. We can talk about that for another hour, at another point in time. So interesting statistics. This really cool stuff. We all assume that the millennials and the Gen Zers and everyone, we don't want emails. We want emails. We don't want you calling us. We don't want you texting us. We don't want to know that the world exists. We want emails. The difference is that we don't want all of your emails. 4 emails a day is too much. 1 email a week sometimes is too much, which proves that a good like 39% would want to receive fewer emails. This is not true, but I just think that the other the other 60 just doesn't look at their inbox. We don't know. The 32% of millennials want to receive less repetitive emails from brands. So that regular, we got a coupon this week. And next week, guess what? We got another coupon for the same thing. And again and again. One, on the marketing standpoint, that's not the best thing. You're diminishing the value of the stuff that you're selling or that you're doing. And also, I don't know about you, but in my inbox, I get annoyed. So that means that when I'm on the other side and I need to send some emails from email console, I have to think about that. If I don't like those emails, that they have no value, I have nothing to say, don't send them. I'm going to talk a little bit about the real and fake, which I just saw. I didn't put that this was open rates. These are open rates. So over time, the amount of open rates that were true based on the mailbox provider knowing if somebody's open versus an email marketing software provider is 30% of those are real and 60% of those are fake. Now, this is an average, of course, but it just goes to prove that spam filters are opening and clicking emails. Technology is in the middle between you sending the email and the other person receiving them. Spam filters do a lot of things. Inboxes do a lot of things. It is important to look at your statistics with this mindset. When you're playing Monopoly, I don't know how to play. I don't know all the rules of Monopoly, but I know how to roll a dice and buy houses and whatever. But when you play a game of Monopoly with somebody who knows all the rules, they are going to win. This is the same thing when it comes to email. If you know how everything works, you can formulate strategies that are going to fit, as annoying as it can be for your business type, maybe. At least you can play the game correctly. You need to understand how it works so that you can do better. Now, don't go and do spam better. It's not going to work. Then I come and get you. But anything that comes to the normal day-to-day, if you don't want to have to worry about deliverability or never have to call and pay somebody like me, just be a little bit human. If you don't like what people are doing in your inbox, don't do it to the inboxes of your audience, and understand how it works. Open rates have never been consistent. It was nice of Apple to kind of announce it to the world so that I wouldn't have to argue with people ever again, but they have never been a good metric. And there's really like some quick examples we can talk about. An open pixel is just a little empty image. So when you open an email, all the images get downloaded, and then the ESP knows that you open an email. Some ESPs back in the day, because emails existed so long, were at the bottom. The emails are too long and they get cut. Even if somebody opens them, it's not going to generate an open. You got Microsoft, who doesn't download automatically all the images, or people who don't have a lot of data or don't have the automatic download images on their phone. So they might have opened the email and then you don't see it. And then vice versa, you have spam filters. You don't know if your deliverability is good or not. So you're sending emails. The spam filters are opening to check everything's okay, or you're a news sender and they have no opinion of you. So they're trying to check things to ensure if the emails should go in the inbox or not. All these things kind of like minus and plus each other. They've never been perfect, unfortunately. It would have been nice, but there's no standard inbox. Everybody does their things the way they want to do them, and the same thing on the email marketing side. So it's very important to kind of fine comb your data and your statistics. I mean, we're all talking outside of email, we're talking about how data is so important to business. And I'm not even talking about compliance and saving it correctly, just having the data. But then what you do with the data is what's going to help you deliver your emails. It's extremely, extremely important. And just in case you don't know what my name is, it's yanna-torry. I just noticed I will do it the other way around. yanna-torry and then all the social filters. But if you guys ever want to talk about deliverability a little bit more, or talk about it in the instance of what you are doing in your business or anything like that, just connect with me. The people here know that I talk about email all the time and I don't stop. As you can see, it just says one breath and it's going. So if anyone has questions, I don't know how we want to do this, I will stop sharing my screen.
Thank you.
Thank you, yanna-torry. It seems that you really like email a lot.
I don't like receiving it though. I just like making sure it gets in the inbox. I don't send emails.
I'll send you some.
Yeah.
But I have a few questions, if it's okay.
Me too.
Of course, of course.
Okay.
So there's a lot of information that you told us today. Me,
Yes.
as like a regular marketing guy, where should I start? Because I don't know how to put this everything into practice. It seems like really complicated stuff, and I might mess up quickly.
Okay, so the easiest way to go at it is we need to understand first that the inboxes wants to make the people that own the inboxes happy. So Google is not here to make our business thrive or make our businesses money. They're there to make sure that their customers are happy in their inbox. So, LinkedIn, I don't know why my voice was off. When you know that, you can start cleaning out things. For example, if your business is purchasing lists, or if your business is kind of like scouring the old employees' computer to find a list of email addresses that you have no idea who they're for and what they're from, is going to stop you. If you just look very easily in your inbox, look at the brands that you usually look at, and go check in your spam filter if some of those emails actually land in there, to see if emails that you usually engage with, if those are also being separated for you. The most important thing is just don't do to other people what you don't like to be done to you. It's as easy as that. If you don't like receiving 5 emails from the pharmacy, sending 5 emails to buy a mattress is definitely not going to be good. People don't like them. So I think the most important thing to do is to take a step back and relook at the marketing. If you had to fire everybody in the company and the only thing people knew about was your product, how would you market it correctly to people? And that's it. It's all about maintaining a relationship with people. So if you know how to maintain human relationships, you can maintain them on the internet through email.
Okay, that sounds like utopia a little bit.
I know, but hey.
Because on the other hand, there are like those e-commerce platforms that say that you have to like build every kind of marketing automation that you know of, and then trigger some reminder emails.
Resell, upsell, cross-sell, whatever.
And it seems to work.
And
at least so far.
I can tell you, I can give you an example. So there was this customer that I was helping last year, which is why I moved to the Netherlands. They were having a lot of inboxing issues one day to the other, that nothing was landing in the inbox. And when you would ask them, okay, so what are you doing? What was happening was they started sending more and more emails. Every time they couldn't reach their targets anymore, they would start sending more emails. And then Google, what was happening was that they were sending 5 emails a day, and then a couple were landing in the inbox all the way to no one's getting them anymore. So what did they decide? Let's send more emails. So then they had bigger chance to land in the inbox, and then a bigger one and a bigger one, to the point where they were sending hundreds of emails a day to a person, and the person was getting 2. So they can try, but at some point they're going to call me.
Yeah, there's a joke about this. When we send out an email, we earn like €1,000. But how? There's a good idea. Let's send 10 emails a month, then we can make 10,000.
The return on investment is higher, right? You spend less time writing, you spend less time emailing. Everything's about being organized, which I know for all businesses is hard, right? We have data a little bit everywhere. Different teams are using different tools. The bigger the company, the more disorganized it is, which as a I'm not a child anymore, but as a young person back in the day working, I thought that bigger companies are more organized. We all know that's not exactly true. So be organized and just be honest with yourself. Does everybody really need 3 invoice reminders? Probably not. There's so much, like, if everyone said this, if my mom doesn't read my email, which my mom is like super proud of anything I do and I'm not a marketer, then no one else is going to read it. She's like obligated to read my emails that I create, not my customers. So if she doesn't care, my customers definitely don't care. Show your husband, your partner, your friends, look at what I did at work, or look at what my company is forcing me to send. And a lot of times you look and you're like, what does it say? Oh, well, we exist. You don't need to send an email to remind people you exist.
This is for branding. We exist.
It's a social media and stuff like that. If you want to just remind people you exist, there's Google Ads, which you have no control over. You got social media, which you have no control over. So keep the control with email, or else Google is going to take it away from you.
You had a question?
Yeah, actually, I saw in one slide absolutely brilliant thing.
Only one slide. I thought that everything was.
Yeah, but this was like, wow.
Oh, okay. Thank you. What?
There was this that put your unsubscribe thing there where everyone can unsubscribe very easily.
Yes. It's important.
So, but from the other hand, the clients are telling that, all right, can I do it less visible, or can it be like almost with a white text?
Yeah,
so
okay, so you tell them that yanna-torry is going to start sending them emails and that they're unable to find the unsubscribe link, and see how quickly they hate me. It's I know it's annoying. I know that when we're on the business side, like I have a product I want to sell, right? So if I could email all of you people, I don't know, if I could grab all the emails and annoy you, I don't think it would actually convert. There's some people that might have issues with deliverability, so then it might be interesting, but I think the webinar would have been enough, right? Taking all you people here today and sending you emails and not making it easy for you to unsubscribe, you're going to get really pissed at me. So unfortunately, it's just, I know it's annoying to hear again and again, but get people off your list. If they don't want your emails, get them off. You can, of course, bring them to a landing page that says, are you sure? Do you just want maybe to receive less emails? Give them another option, but don't make it 25 steps. Don't make them enter and log into their account to unsubscribe, because if I log in and I don't remember my password, I'm going to go back and just report spam because I don't know how to stop this.
Yeah. Or the better thing that there is no button that send us email to this address, and then we will take you off.
I'll never send an email there.
I think that I saw there was a meme from some other email geek where it was like Tony the donkey is gonna like walk 3 months to bring the email address and unsubscribe it. Don't do that. Just one click. It's enough, guys. And when you lose customers, that's not when you're trying to win them back. You don't, you know, when I'm at a store, you don't have a person at the door say, whoa, 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 you can't go out. Come and look at something. You have somebody in the store while I'm shopping, trying to maybe upsell things. So you don't want to re-engage people when they're out of the door and they're saying, hasta la vista. You want them before. That's why looking at the data is so important. And all these other wonderful people are going to be talking more about what you can do to counteract all the things I tell you you cannot do. So I think it's a good start of the day. I am telling you all the things you cannot do, and then they'll give you solutions of what you can do to grow your list and send more emails.
I have another question about spam traps. You said that regular addresses convert to spam traps in a really long time, maybe years. But I have heard from some other email geek that it's probably more like 6 months or so. But this is what we have based our suggestions to our clients. So clean your lists and take out everyone who hasn't opened any emails in like at least in 6 months. And,
Yes. So what happens is that it's not the how quickly a spam trap becomes it. A recycled spam trap takes a lot longer because it used to be somebody. It would be very annoying. For example, I got rid of a domain last week. It would be very annoying that that domain immediately becomes a spam, even in 6 months, becomes a spam trap because it's not enough time, especially for small organizations and really, really big ones that are not using automation to remove them. Also, spam traps can open an email. It's not the human or the inbox, it's the spam filter of that spam trap. So sometimes a spam trap will have an open, which is why it takes so much time to remove them. It's very important to be able, when it comes to email and the regular statistics we give, it's great, but we need an extra step further. A Google Analytics, it's very easy. You just add the UTM link in your email. It's not you don't need an integration or anything, just to see how long people, when they click, are they clicking all in California because it's a spam filter opening, or are they clicking all over the world and then staying on those pages? Being able to discern real from fake customers is going to take a little bit more than open rates, which is why it takes so much time. You should be cleaning your list anyways every 4 to 6 months, depending on how much volume you have and how many people are there. But it's not only because of the spam traps that we're doing it every 6 months. There's millions of new spam traps every week coming out. So you'll never catch them all, especially if you're buying lists or scraping the internet. There's so many, and it's every mailbox has their own, every block list has their own. There's people who just take care of spam trap networks. They have their own. So you're going to get caught somewhere, which is why it's important to have a relationship with everybody you're emailing, because that just proves something. Recycled, it used to work, it doesn't work anymore. It's not going to affect you as much as here's a new email address in my list that is obviously fake. Yeah.
Does anyone have questions for yanna-torry from the audience also? You can talk now or never.
Forever hold your peace.
I have one more question about you said that you have to grow your list organically because this is the way how it will the deliverability will be the best because of that. But what happens if I change my domain or change my email service provider and I have an old list which is grown organically, but then some technical things change and I just start sending to it in large volumes from new infrastructure.
For the, let's say for the Gmail, it looks like it's absolutely new thing
coming from a new source. Would you suggest some kind of a warm-up for this? Or?
Yes, always warm-up. Warm-up is not only for IPs and volume, but it's also, like we talked about, for your content, for any big pivot that your company is doing. Just because it's a computer that cannot make an analysis further than it should. So definitely, if your company is changing names, don't just change the sender domain and start sending. You need to do this kind of migration. One, you need to do the human factor. People need to understand that this is going to happen so that they react appropriately in their inbox. If people, you go from yanna-torry to pizza, people are not going to connect those two together. So they're going to look at the email and maybe interact in a negative way. So we want to take care as much as possible of the human factor. Then we want to prove to the inboxes that our emails are wanted again from this new domain, from this new email marketing provider, if you're also making a change that way, because just doing that switch is not going to be good. And even if you did contact them, you can contact Google and Microsoft and so on. they might ignore it. They're not going to like tell their computer like, hey, they changed their domain. There's a whatever. And at some point it's going to come back. But why lose all those weeks? You know, everything, any change, even if like, sometimes I even tell people, depending on how the size of the company is, even if a team member sometimes changes or like a manager, even then do like some weird warm-up phase where the new person is able to kind of understand and pivot things. Because when new people come in, sometimes they ask for changes. And then you have huge problems, not because the idea or the marketing isn't good, it's because the spam filters don't know what to expect. It's all like relationships, like doing, you know, dancing tango with the spam filters, you know, you give and take and you don't know who won at the end.
The bad thing is that those spam filters or block lists and spam traps, those are not like really transparent. So you have to guess, do a lot of guesswork.
I think it's logic.
Yeah, well,
yeah, but I wish I knew. It wouldn't work, right? If they told us, if Google said this campaign to these 20 people, not smart, then we would just remove those 20 people.
Yeah.
And then we would continue, which doesn't, you know, that's the problem. So it's like the credit score analogy. Like we all know how credit scores work. You pay your bills on time, you have good credit. Is closing a credit card bad for you? Yes, it is, by the way. Is buying a house bad or not bad? We kind of understand how it works, but we don't know how many points we're losing. If I'm late for my bill one time, is it enough to my credit go down? I don't know. Same thing with deliverability. So you understand how it works, and then you have to make decisions. And I mean, we can be considered the tax lawyers. If you don't know, you talk to deliverability specialists. If you don't know in life, you go talk to a tax lawyer, an accountant, or the bank. So you have some help. And I talk a lot, as you can see. So you can just hit me up on LinkedIn and I'll tell you all how it works. But if not, it's based on logic. You know, send good emails, make people happy, and you're not going to have an issue.
All right. Thank you, yanna-torry.
Absolutely great recipe. Send good emails and make people happy.
Yeah, yeah. We should do it every day.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, you should.
Okay. Our next presenter is Anna Levitin from Powtoon, and she's going to talk about how to generate business-to-business leads with webinars. Did I understand this correctly?
Or
Yeah,
it was like, or it was like how to do the email marketing for the webinar.
It's all about, I'm going to mention also social media, landing pages, even form submission. There are a lot of elements in bringing lead to the sales.
All right, let's hear it.
So let me just share my screen. Okay. So I'm super happy to present and to see so many people online, and I'm really proud to be here alongside real email marketing gurus as yanna-torry, Anna, and Andrew. And before we start the presentation, let me introduce you myself. You see this pink screen. So just 1 second, I want to make sure that I shared with you sound as well. Yes, I did. So let's start. what you've just seen is called Powtoon, and this is the product of the company I'm working for. And now let's move to the presentation itself. I gotta tell you, oh, no, we don't want to watch it again. Okay. Sorry for that. So today we will speak about webinars and why they should be used in B2B strategy. And as I mentioned earlier, Powtoon is a visual communication platform. So we have two business models. First one is a B2C subscription freemium model and B2B. So we have a solution for individuals and also a corporate platform that meets all the security requirements for our enterprise clients. And a lot of my examples, they will be focused on bringing B2B leads, but also on converting B2C leads, like B2C users that may be not so aware of our enterprise solution. And before I move forward, I would like to say a few words about Powtoon itself. So we started Powtoon about 10 years ago. I joined the company about 10 months ago. And initially it was only a solution for individuals. So around 4 years ago, we realize that there is no solution or not so many tools that allows to build short animated engaging video for enterprise clients. And now we are working with a lot of companies like Unilever, Logfood, Accenture, and so on. So what are the goals of B2B webinars? You can see here 5 different points. It's generate leads, produce reusable content, and I will focus on this a little bit later. Engage with your audience, understand your user challenges, and showcase their expertise and capabilities. So if I would ask you to remove 4 of them and leave only one, probably you will leave the first one, generate leads. And this is very important. And this is basically the only one goal of the webinars, to generate leads that lately will convert to paid users. And before we even start working or start talking about the email sequence, you will probably ask yourself, if you are thinking to run a B2B webinar, like, what should you speak about at your webinar? What form of webinar should you choose? And actually, I would like to interact a little bit with audience, if I might. Feel free to drop in a chat like what forms of webinars you usually prefer. Like, is it how to, or it's more focused on branding, or it's maybe like only lead nurture webinars, or interview related, or partner webinars. So it will be really interesting for me to see what other professionals are doing in this field. But what is important, and I enjoy seeing that a lot, that companies started to take, I would say, like full funnel approach for webinars, because historically webinars have been a lead generation tool for the top of funnel. But I strongly believe that they should be deployed like on throughout the whole sales process, meaning that there should be webinars for top of funnel with one sort of content, and completely different content for bottom of funnel, for middle of funnel. And at Powtoon, we also create webinars for employees of the specific companies. And it's time consuming, and probably you're asking, okay, why you should have a webinar for like 15 people? But it's a great opportunity for us to upsell and basically show why your teammates already use this product, and why and invite more users of the existing client to use our product. And I would like to share with you one project that I'm working right now. It's webinars for, I would say, low qualified prospects. So there are small business demo webinars for several leads that are not considered as a high quality leads as SQL. So for example, I'm not necessarily I don't necessarily want them to connect one-on-one to SDR or to sales representative, but I still want to in some sort of interaction between SDR and these leads. So when they fill the form registration for a webinar, they already enter sort of qualification process, and depends on their answer, we give them an opportunity either to book a demo, like one-on-one demo, or to join a weekly or bi-weekly webinar, the small one. And now I actually want to see some results in a chat. So yeah, Andrew saying mostly how-tos webinar. Milena, I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing it incorrect. I like panel discussion where thought leaders share their insights and expertise. Yeah, really, really great. How-tos and insights info market data from Gerd. Yeah, that's amazing. That's one of the most popular format for the webinar. So let's move forward. Let me just turn on the light because I'm in an eco office and it turns on automatically. So if you're working in B2B field and B2C, you probably will ask yourself, is it worth investing in webinars? Because there are a lot of steps, there are a lot of logistics behind that, and I will go over that. And how much money I can make through the webinars. And this is something you need to test first of all. And of course, you need to make sure that your webinar success is measurable. So these are KPIs that are worth to track. Of course, the number of registrants, the conversion from landing page to registration, source of registrations, especially in case if you are doing co-partner, co-hosted webinar. And again, I will focus on co-hosted webinars. It's amazing tool. Attendance rate, time spent on the webinar, live views versus recording views, because it doesn't necessarily matter if you have low amount of attendees of the live session. You just need to see the balance between recorded views and the live views. Of course, attendee feedback, and we have recently that Powtoon moved from GoToWebinar to Zoom, and in Zoom there is a feature that called sort of exit survey. So every time user exit from the webinar, there is a survey that might run anonymous to get some feedback. So I strongly recommend to use this one, besides of polls and surveys and everything else that also measure your engagement as a Q&A session as well. Amount of leads, cold, warm, existing, it might be different types, depends how your company identifies it. Of course, cost of webinars and revenue. We at Powtoon also measure, for example, contact points, amount of calls that user get before converted to before the deal was closed, messages on LinkedIn, how many connection from that company the SDR or sales representative got from this LinkedIn. So there are a lot of things, and yes, it's time consuming to have all this data, but eventually you will have a clear picture, and you will have your clear roadmap how to conduct a webinar. So if till now you still had some doubts, in case you had some concerns about like how webinars are important, I just want to show some stats by Blogging Wizard. And I will not go through each and every point. I just want to show you and pronounce that 73% of B2B webinar attendees convert to leads. And for B2C, it's about like 30%. It's just a really great numbers. And also, I don't want to say that webinars are for free and the cost of webinars are very low. No, it really depends. And again, it's very time consuming to produce a webinar. There are a lot of departments that are involved. But if you started to produce webinars and you have, again, a clear roadmap, the cost might be minimized. So now I want to move to co-host or co-branded webinars or partner webinars. It has several different names. So co-branded webinars, it's a great way for organizations to collaborate together to increase the visibility of their expertise. So it's basically solving the same issue, but from different perspectives. So we do a lot of co-hosting webinars at Paltum with different partners from e-learning industry. And there might be a few, I would call it pitfalls, that I recommend just, to focus, to discuss with your partner company and make sure that it's 100% clear. So first of all, on the very first call, you need to understand who is hosting the landing page, registration, which company works on creatives or LinkedIn event or Facebook event, you name it. And when, again, it might sound very obvious what I'm saying now, but I wouldn't mention that unless I will face these situations. So it's always better to discuss it before than, after. So it's, for example, even what fields should be in a form registration. So because you need to make sure that, all the information both partners have after the webinars. And from the form submission, it actually brings me to the next point. It's about T's and C's, terms and conditions. So do you notify users that their contacts will be shared with other partners, or does your partner know that you would like to get these contacts, you would like to get information about leads? What size of database your partner have, what amount of attendees they expect to see on the webinar, how many followers they have in social media, how many posts they're going to publish, send emails. This is basically just, create a spreadsheet with a checklist and make sure that with every partner you went through this and you got all information. So once you're moving forward to basically email preparation, I divide it into 4 main steps and we will go over each of them. Again, I know that my presentation mostly focused on emails, but there are several essential parts of webinars that I will also mention. So any webinar is considered a success by both host and attendees is a result of really very careful and long planning. And as I said, there are a lot of logistics behind webinars. Not only it's important to choose the proper day, proper time, presenter, moderator, you need to make sure that there is no bank holidays on this day, but there are also a lot of internal teams that probably will be involved in preparation. So of course, email marketing team, marketing ops, design team, creative, video, maybe even front-end developers, and of course, sales team for our main goal, generating leads. So we will go over invitation, like how to invite users to webinar, what channels can we use, what is important, reminder, follow-up, and sales outreach. And sometimes these two can be combined, like follow-up and sales reach. I will mention later what I mean, like marketing follow-up and sales follow-up. And I'm talking a lot about preparation, so I even added the Benjamin Franklin quote: by failing to prepare, you're preparing to fail. So there is always, you know, one extra time when you can check all the email sequence, when you can make sure that presentation deck is ready. So about the webinar timesheet, like when to send, when to start promotion, because I see a lot of conversations and like this about the webinar promotion, especially B2B in our Slack community. And I recommend starting about like 3-4 weeks in advance. Of course, it depends how many webinars your company does. If there is something that you make, you know, on the weekly basis, so of course the time might be changed. So we normally send about 2 or 3 invite emails to the different segments. So the first one goes to a highly targeted audience. For example, if there is a webinar that targets a L&D professional, learn and development, or internal communication, HRs. So this is going to be the first segment. The second segment, for example, the second invitation will be users that engaged with our product. They visited platform, they did certain action. For example, they started to create Powtoon, they export Powtoon. These are all member attributes that I can filter in my ESP, in ESP we are using. And the third invite will be for user that more likely to attend webinars, that attended similar webinars in the past. So this is like throughout a few weeks, this invitation, like 3-4 weeks. And then the day before, we will send a reminder. So make sure that you don't spam with reminders, because if you are using like, for example, Zoom platform or any other webinar platform, probably there is like default notification, you know, could be sent 1 day in advance, or for example, 1 hour in advance. So make sure that you don't combine like marketing email and also, let's say, Zoom email. So we prefer to send marketing email 1 day before, and then 1 hour before the webinar, we are sending notification from the webinar platform itself. And about the follow-up, and as I mentioned earlier, we have like sales follow-up and marketing follow-up. So if we recommend sending marketing follow-up within 24 hours. And of course, you know, if it's a weekend, so it's better to send it, you know, if the webinar is on Friday evening, it's better to send it on Monday. And don't do webinars on Friday. Actually, the best days from our experience, these are Wednesday and Thursdays. These are usually the webinar days. And as you can see on the slide, test, test, test. On the previous slide, I was saying prepare, prepare, prepare. So here, again, something that is working for one company, even for one product, might not work for a second one. So make sure that you are testing time, amount of invitations, and everything. So these are basically like the whole timeline, let's say starting 4 weeks. I don't recommend to start it earlier than 4 weeks. So first invite, second, third, and of course, you know, you can start a little bit later, like 3 weeks. In this case, it will be probably 2 invites, reminder, reminder from the platform, and recording to all registrants. So let me focus a little bit about invitation. And as I said, I'm going to cover not only emails, but also landing page, social, because in the end of the day, we have the same goal. So about the landing page, I always recommend to add several time zones, because I know even speakers here, we are joining from all over the world. I'm now currently in London, but usually I'm in Israel. So I woke up pretty early today. Also, on the landing page, we, for example, use a chatbot that offers another dates of the webinar. So, for example, if a user is not able to join this webinar and we have something similar, we provide another dates. Or if you have webinar in several languages, so you can say, you can offer in a chatbot, to choose the right language. So normally conversion from landing page to registrations are about like 25, 30, 35%. So this is something also, as I said about the KPIs, this is something that you should track. And if it's if you see that conversion is lower, make sure that, again, you test wording, you test creative, you test the form itself, amount of fields in the form. Or if you use email as the main channel to bring users, just check the segmentation one more time. Make sure that you send it to the right users that will be interested in this event. About emails, as I said, about the time zone. So also you can, I recommend to use several time zone mentioned in email. And you can see the examples here that I attached, like one is our example, 𝐄𝐫𝐤𝐤𝐢, the partner webinar that we hosted yesterday. Another, the blue one, is from a company called Mirror, and generally they have really cool emails. I recommend you to subscribe or, take a look at really good emails. And Monday also is great. Like, they have very clear, very, short and sharp emails, not only about webinars, but about product updates as well. So what is common for all these emails? It's, of course, when you imagine that you're opening it on mobile, you see the CTA on the first screen. And again, it might sound very obvious, like, make sure that you have your CTA on the first screen, but it's very important. What we are testing now, and again, I will appreciate your feedback in the chat. Let me know what you think. We find out that we have a lot of clicks on logo, especially on webinars emails. And even though the main goal of this email is to register, so we are debating, and we have a lot of discussion this internally. Should we link logo to partner page and our logo to the main page? So we are testing. There is no clear conclusion yet. Socials. So I wouldn't go over all socials. I just want to focus a little bit on LinkedIn. So I don't know, I guess the majority of people who created an event on LinkedIn, that there is a attend button, which you want to click when you would like to join an event. For example, event like this one that you probably found out through email or through LinkedIn platform. But the thing is, when you click attend button, it doesn't really bring you anywhere. The only notification that you're gonna get is the in-app notification from LinkedIn itself, a notification that this webinar is gonna happen in a few days, if I'm not mistaken. So what we are doing at 𝐄𝐫𝐤𝐤𝐢, 1 day or 2 days prior the event, we are sending the private message to all registrants on the LinkedIn event and invite them to register like with the link, because again, you can add the link to the LinkedIn event, but it will be not at the bottom. So make sure that you reach out like through a salesperson or through any representative. Next thing is a registration form. So here also, like a lot of things might be tested, and the registration form, like in general, it's a little bit tricky because on one hand, I would like to have all the information: first name, last name, name of your dog, your favorite milk, your food allergies, like everything what might help me, you know, to personalize my content and might help again sales team. But on the other hand, like I don't want to ask all these questions. I want to have like 5, 6 fields max in my registration form. So in this case, for example, I can recommend using, we are using Zoom info for our like sales purposes. And if there is a feature called autocomplete, I'm sure that there are like other software that allows to do that. So basically our autocomplete helps user to fill the whole form once they enter email. So once I enter my email, Zoom Info knows that, okay, it's Anna Levitin. She works in a company called Powtoon. And for example, if I'm asking about the size of the company, they also will fill this form. If I need to mention my title, my phone number, again, it depends what fields will be populated, but yeah, it might be easier, but at the same time, it might be a little bit like shocking for a person who feels it like for the first time. Thank you form, like once you fill the form, you probably will be redirected to thank you page or to thank you form. So this is something that you can also mention other webinars, like, or again, other dates, other languages, something like valuable. Don't just say, okay, thank you for registration and that's it. Use this space for some extra information. And of course, last thing to check, it's integrations. Make sure, and then turning my light again, make sure that whatever you use, Zapier, Zoom, GoToWebinar, Marketo, any other ESP, like all connected and you have all the information everywhere. So now about reminder, and you can see some really great emails here that I found very interesting, very clear. If you consider the event registration as a success, you're wrong, because registration, like from invitation, it doesn't mean that necessarily a person who register will attend your webinar. So it's very important, like, to follow up, to remind about the event itself. So again, as I said, 1 day before we're sending marketing email and 1 hour before we're sending Zoom notification. It can be also sent in a different form. So it could be a push notification or work notification. For example, what we tested at Powtoon, we tested the conversion rate from registration to attendee for reminder that we are sending 1 day before, and let's say for the second or first invitation that we are sending probably like at least 2 weeks prior to the event. So from the reminder, we have 48% of users that register, they attend. And from invitation, we have only 20%. So this is just to show you that reminder is super, super important. And again, you can send reminder to very large audience, maybe to the new users or only to those who opened any of previous emails. It's very again, this is something that you might test. Also, I know that a lot of brands are using countdown, like timer in their emails. We tested this and we really didn't see the significant difference. Actually, I would like also to hear in the chat, and let me check if I have more answers. So let me know if you are using countdowns, and do you see any significant change in performance, like with it or without timer? It will be interesting to hear. So about follow-up, and I also placed here like our follow-up or replay page. Again, I will mention chatbot, like make sure that user is able to register for another webinars. And the main thing, like, of course, we want user to watch replay, to watch recording, but what is the next? So for those, we have probably their contact, and at some point SDR will reach out to them, but we also want them to be proactive and to book a demo. So it's very important to add CTA, like extra CTA to replay page, book a demo, request price, or like, you know, upgrade your account once you're making webinar for the very specific group. So about email, I want to mention that there is a common practice to have replay only available for 48 hours. On one hand, it allows to send more emails, but on the other hand, I'm not sure that it's really good, because we are not practicing that. So like our replay is open as long as users would like to watch them. But of course, if you limit your replay like to 48, 72 hours, you can send one replay email, and then second, and last minute we're closing our replay page. But again, I think especially for B2B audience, it might be too much. We normally send one replay, and if we have a special promotion or special offer that mostly like for B2C users, we place it on replay page and we mention it in the email. So we use the same email for these purposes. And just what I mentioned on the slide itself, make sure you use the same sender name, so the person who actually attended webinar see the sender name of presenter. And again, it's like pretty obvious, but try to separate emails for those who attended and for those who didn't attend but sign-ups, because like you don't want to, you know, reach out, that sales reach out, or even marketing reach, like send an email without saying, oh, sorry that you missed webinar, while the person actually attended it, and vice versa. So now, while we have more time, I want to focus on sales outreach. And as I said at the beginning, replay, email, and this stage could be combined. Again, really depends on your manpower. And generally, I recommend sales reaching out to those users who have been active in a chat and who asked questions like this, you know, the high priority, and then those who just attended webinar. So the first thing is line up sales and marketing efforts. We are working all together, and it's also a great idea to get your actually sales team to participate in the event. Even, you know, ask questions, answer a question, interact with attendees, and you know, it might help like to answer some questions on the spot also. Make sure that your leads, they don't, you know, don't disappear. And for example, as I said, in Powtoon, we automate everything. So we have connection between Zapier, between HubSpot. So what I'm basically saying, that all the interactions between sales representative, for example, and attendee on the webinar, we can track it, and it will be shown on in a user profile. So pre-qualified your leads. First of all, it allows you to take a closer look to your audience, and you can even reconsider like your, I would say, ideal customer. And secondly, it's a great opportunity to segment your leads based on your engagement and based the engagement of the users during the webinar. And again, it will help you to tailor like your strategy, your webinar strategy for the future events. And yeah, as I said, segmentation, you don't want to send a thank you for attending to someone who didn't attend. So make sure the segmentation is very important. And as yanna-torry just mentioned, it's better, to spend time on segmentation rather than on content, sending like 3 follow-ups emails. So follow-up communication, again, as I said, within 24 hours, and if they have a specific questions from Q&A session, it would be great to follow up answering this question. And this is something that could be sent like directly from sales. Again, depends on the manpower. It could be together with a replay message, or it could be like right after the marketing message. And of course, like in this case, the more personalized message is better. That's why I always provide our sales team with the questions that users ask on the webinar. And the last thing is to connect with leads across different channels. So it might be LinkedIn, it might be just on the phone, email, of course. So moving forward, yeah, let's talk a little bit about webinar benefits. So as I said in the beginning, like we only have goal to convert leads, to bring more leads, but each webinar helps us to produce reusable content. Quotes, it might be a short video, it might be an interview, it might be on-demand webinar that you especially use like in your lead nurture program. Like consider a webinar again is like as I said, as part of content. And of course, it might be used for internal needs. For example, you're going through onboarding process for the new member of marketing team or new member of sales team. And this is something that they can watch, and also this could be included into L&D course, company course. A few tips. It's some technical, some not, something I mentioned. So if you see like here on the slide, sometimes, especially on mobile, if you connect to your calendar, like the time disappears, like the date and time, they basically want you to click. I always see this on Gmail, Yahoo, on Hotmail. So they basically want you to click on it and add it to your calendar, which is great. But then like you don't see the date, you can see the examples here. So I just, I usually add a space, like you can see in a yellow background, that helps me to keep it in one line and it's visible. The second thing is like in our case, when we have a B2B solution and we have a B2C solution, so we are trying, to always convert self-serve users to B2B users, because as I said, we started 10 years ago as a B2C solution, and not so many users, they nowadays know that they can also use it not only to create congratulations for their grandmother, but for other purposes. And always promote upcoming webinars, because in the end of the day, you don't want only start like promotion 3, even 4 weeks in advance. You want users to plan it ahead. And these are some brands that I recommend you to follow. I already mentioned that, and I think I'm running out of my time, so I'm moving to the last slide. Yeah, thank you so much. I will be glad to hear your thoughts regarding this topic, and feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn. And if you are in London, so we can meet in 𝐄𝐫𝐤𝐤𝐢 or Unspam event. Thank you.
Thank you, Anna. We have been hosting webinars for 2 or 3 years now ourselves, and got some really good ideas to take into account the next time. So thank you for that. But I have a few questions myself. You mentioned webinars. After the webinars, how many people could be converted? How to say it correctly?
Yeah, to leads, like.
Yeah, to leads. Yeah, but have you measured concrete return of investment? Because the plan is seems like really logical what you showed, but it will definitely take some time and investments and etc. etc. Do you have some kind of a return of investment based on your own data, or maybe you have done to someone else? Is it worth it?
Honestly, I'm not sure that I can share with you the data for Powtoon, but what we are measuring, it's converting from webinar attendees to leads to close deals. And in our case, just the process of conversion might be very long. It's even more than 3-4 months. And also, this is something I forget to mention, that we have not only online events, there are a lot of offline conferences where basically the process is the same, but the conversion is much higher, at least in our case. But as we saw, according to the statistics, 70% for B2B webinars, they convert to leads.
Okay, this is impressive. We haven't measured our own conversions that much, but we see that well, this is why we are still doing those webinars, because people are interested in just some kind of a baseline. This is not like a training, like a too technical, too hands-on, and it's interesting to hear, interesting to see what's going on the market, and there are coming customers also, but we haven't measured ourselves that much. This is a task now for us to do.
Now is your task to make a separate webinars for existing customers, for top of funnel, bottom of funnel.
Okay.
Yes. But for webinars or compared to trainings, what we have seen in the local market is we started with free webinars, free for all. Everyone shares the information that they know of. People take advantage of it, can use it better on their everyday work. But some people say that, why free webinars? Why don't you instead do some kind of hands-on trainings or consultations which are not for free? We haven't tried it yet. Do you have any kind of
examples or how it's actually working? Because the other thing what 𝐿𝐾𝐤𝐤𝐢 mentioned is that we actually seeing here also the paid webinars. So,
paid webinars, yes.
Yeah. So because we're thinking, okay, you're asking, let's say, whatever X amount of money, and but from other hand, in YouTube and in internet, you have you can reach millions of channels or webinars what are free.
For free,
yeah. So okay, I'm asking thinking that from one hand I'm sharing my knowledge, from other hand I'm making some money, asking €50 per webinar. doing huge amount of promotion, spending like €1,000 for promotion, and then I got like 10 registrants. And,
Yeah.
wow.
So free or not is the question here. Have you considered this also? Because let me elaborate. When this COVID came, a lot of the like interaction that we are having currently moved to online. It was like strange at first, but now it's like the new norm, and it's great. And lately, the like live events have returned, but this hasn't like changed the amount of online events. But usually people think that online events have to be free, even if it's really valuable for them. Do you have an opinion about this yourself also?
I personally, myself, I purchase tickets for online events if I see that this is the valuable content I can get. If they're experts of the field, mostly it's email marketing themes or lead generation. But in our case, all our webinars at Powtoon are for free, even for B2C, where we have more registrations, because basically the main goal is either for B2C to upgrade their plan because we have a freemium model, or for B2B to bring more teammates, even if it's for existing customers. So we haven't tried it, and I don't think that if in our case like we should even consider that, like our webinars are paid. But again, on the personal note, like I'm ready to pay for knowledge, and I think it's totally normal to have a paid webinars, paid events.
Does anyone else have questions for Anna?
I see the comments about countdowns. Yeah, that you haven't seen significant changes, and the Reach are mentioning Apple updates. Countdown timers are widely inaccurate. Yeah, unfortunately. Yeah, I don't see any other questions, but I will be happy to answer. Okay, are you using Zoom for webinars? Which platform is the best? So I don't want to be affiliated unless Zoom is paying me.
But here is my affiliate code.
Yes.
Yes, please register, 10% discount. As I said, we moved from GoToWebinar to Zoom, and I like that in Zoom you really can easily, like again, the user-friendly UX UI, communicate with users. And when we are hosting like a long webinar, we always run polls, surveys, Q&A, and we not only running polls to get answers, we also want to share and to show some data to our attendees. So in this case, like I'm pretty happy with our current platform. Yeah, and the Zoom is integrated with HubSpot. Yes, it's great. Yeah, I don't see any other questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Anna. And now we give the mic to
Anna.
Anna Lehto from 70-30 digital. Why not 80-20 digital? Sorry.
Or 90-10.
I love it how everyone, asks about the name, and it just gives me like the idea that the name really sticks, which is perfect. We are a new company. We're a one-year-old company now. So that's a good thing that the name sticks. The name comes from, well, I will tell you in a little bit. If I'll just, start my presentation. I just want to give a shout out to the other Anna Levitin from Powtoon, and Yanna, of course. Thank you for your talks. I think I just this week received like 3 emails thanking me for attending events that I did not. But because I'm, very eager to register and not so eager to attend. We all have our calendars full. And one thing I actually wanted to ask you, Anna, is that, or other people, that have you been using, because you can collect registrations to events on LinkedIn now, but what we found was that the lack of integration between LinkedIn and, HubSpot or whichever CRM is non-existent. So it was pretty painful to move those contacts from LinkedIn to the CRM.
We have the same experience.
Yeah, we have. When the first time promoted our event in LinkedIn, then we used also the LinkedIn. Then I started to using also our landing page for this, but there is the problem, as Anna from Botun said, that you're clicking that attend, and actually then nothing happens, because this time in this moment we have actually approximately 700 attendees in LinkedIn.
But only 400 registered.
Yeah. So the last time we did, I had 1,000 and something attendees in LinkedIn, but registered only 500. So the logic in LinkedIn for this type of events is a little bit too complicated, or you don't get the data, or you don't get actually, you can't, if there is the option that add to calendar from the LinkedIn event, but it not takes everything with them if you add a Zoom link or whatever. So it's a little bit not too comfortable.
Maybe Anna, you have experience with this also that you can share.
Anna from Botun.
Yes.
So basically the best solution that we found, like we had some integration between LinkedIn and Zapier, but we are unable to get like all contacts, unless they like submit a form like of event. So when they just join, we can't get any specific contact. So again, the solution that we found, just a message private to everyone with a link of registration. Of course, we have UTMs. Of course, we're tracking the performance of this specifically. But if someone from LinkedIn on this webinar, please fix
do something.
Exactly.
Yeah, but
this writing personally is this guy's job. Then after the registration in LinkedIn,
it's time consuming,
tedious.
And if you have to write like for more than 1,000 people, this personal thing, it took like, I don't remember,
a whole day, I think.
Then it took actually 3 days, because
Wise.
you can't do it like copy paste, because then the LinkedIn thinks that you are some kind of a robot and it's gonna ban you.
Yeah. We will try this Zapier things ourselves also. Let's see how does it work. But turning back to you, Anna, you are going to talk about collecting data, since the data is also a really interesting topic for us, because all of our clients are covered by GDPR and what you can do or what you can't do. Let's hear what do you have to say about this to our interested listeners.
Thank you for giving me a stage to go on and rant about the GDPR. I do understand the value of GDPR and why we have it, and I think it's a good thing. I just have many opinions on it. But why don't I just share my screen and kick off the presentation? Here we go. Just holler at me if you can't see or if there are any technical problems. So again, thank you for inviting me. What I'm going to talk about today is customer data as your strategic advantage, right? So this is a little bit more of a high-level approach to marketing at the moment. And of course, as this is a summit on email marketing, emails and newsletters and marketing automation platforms, ESPs, etc., are a vital part of collecting the data. So today, this is the agenda for my talk. We are going to talk about why we're going to talk about first-party data, some of the changes in the landscape of marketing. I think you're pretty familiar with most of them, or many of them, even painfully aware. Then we're going to talk a little bit about what is customer data, because I do notice that it means different things to different people. And then some challenges in data collection, some typical things I've noticed with my clients, and then how to turn your marketing around. So the company name, as you asked, 7030 Digital. So it comes from, it actually pretty much sums up the idea and the reason behind this company. I founded the company a year ago after giving a good thought on marketing and how it has changed since the GDPR and how it's going to change since the regulation is not going to go away. It's only going to get tighter. There are going to be significant changes and restrictions from big companies as well. So those are bound to affect the way we will do marketing today and especially in the future. So what we believe in is that you should, as a marketeer, as a CMO, even as a CEO, you should invest 70% out of your marketing resources. And now I'm not talking only about budget, I'm talking about people, time, and also, of course, budget. But you should invest 70% out of that towards gathering the data, gathering your first own party data, developing your own media, and developing your in-house teams, because those teams are bound to be the heroes of marketing in the future, because no company is going to give away or outsource their data collection or analysis like totally. They could always use, and I hope they use, agencies and external help in making the strategies, but the reality is that in-house teams will become the heroes of first-party data. So that sums up the name of the company. As for me, I've been around, I've been doing marketing in Finland for 10 years, both on client side and then on the agency side. I guess it's a little bit atypical to go both ways. Many times people try to grow in agencies and then find their places in on the client side. But I just I'm a little bit on a mission here, and I just love to help companies tackle the change in marketing that is happening currently. So here it is. It is changing rapidly, and some evidence of that change is here. Just some news clippings. These are the changes that you have most likely stumbled upon, noticed yourself. Maybe you've been pondering about these things by yourself, or read stuff on LinkedIn, and you're thinking, what does this mean? How should I change our marketing perspective? Should I do something about this? So basically, GDPR is one thing that just, I think, sort of just was like the port to all of this change. And I remember when GDPR went live, so to say, took place. After that point in time, we had a situation where I think many of the marketers just, were kind of relaxed, oh, GDPR, it's now sort of live and nothing's happening. Most of the companies just updated their information on how they use the data, and that was it. But what we saw, I'd say it was the end of last year, when we started seeing so many, like an exponential amount of sanctions based on the GDPR. And that's when it became evident to companies all over Europe that this is the real deal. I mean, nobody really wants to get sanctioned for breaking the GDPR. Now, the problem is that nobody really knows exactly all of the types of ways you can break the GDPR. So that's a little bit the problem that I personally have with the GDPR, that it is, you can get sanctioned in so many ways, and in a little bit more like unpredictable ways even. So that's the major thing that's happening now. Then also in the marketing landscape, you know about the death of the third-party cookies, which will affect a lot of the paid advertising space. And here in, so you see this third one, sorry, this isn't finished, but it's just a news clipping from a company that used WhatsApp. It was a cleaning company, and they used WhatsApp with their cleaners to inform them where they should go. They WhatsApped them, they sent the message on the address, and then maybe the door code, and they did that through WhatsApp. And the data official in Finland found it as a violation of the GDPR, and they were fined. Just to give you an example on how unpredictable sometimes the GDPR sanctions can be. On the other hand, this was not so unpredictable, since the fine actually was based on the fact that the cleaning company did not tell their clients that they are using WhatsApp, and hence transferring the data to the US, since it is a US company. So more breaches, more changes in the marketing landscape. You've heard probably that Google Analytics now they're violating the GDPR, since they also transfer the data to the US. And MailChimp, this, I think it was already a couple of years ago, when in Germany, they found that MailChimp, again, was not GDPR compliant. These things are slowly pushing us in the EU towards, at least thinking about which tools you use for your marketing. And what it does also, well, I'm sorry. What I mean is that these changes in the GDPR, and then also the death of the third-party cookie, and you've probably heard about the iOS 14 update, which limits the data that Apple devices give you, and a bunch of other things that's happening right now in the marketing landscape, mean that we are slowly pushed towards collecting our own data, because that is the data that no one can take away from us if you have collected it in the right way, the GDPR compliant way. And the last clipping is, I think it was New York Times or I think it was Wall Street Journal that published this article. Big tech privacy moves for companies to amass customer data. And in this article, what I found especially interesting was that they listed some of the US companies that are now collecting their own first-party data. One of them was Pepsi. And now you normally go to the store and you buy Pepsi, from the store shelf, and that's it. You probably have a relationship with the brand, but why on earth would they collect data? If you now go to the Pepsi site, they have a newsletter there. You can go on and give your email and receive I don't even know what sort of content they offer, but they do have a newsletter and they collect data through that. And they currently, I think it was that they have 75 million names collected so far, and they are looking to double it. My point here is that if Pepsi sees their own first-party data as valuable, then everyone else should start thinking about it. So at the same time, we've had these changes. So what we're seeing as marketeers, on the other side, we see that the ROI of paid advertising is dropping. I've heard of companies that have said that, you know, they're paying 3 times more per click now than 10 years ago. And that's pretty normal in the sense that the digital ad spend has, at least in Finland and all throughout Europe and in the US, grown for the past 10 years. So the competition for the digital ad space is fierce, which tends to lead to growing prices. And, you know, the forerunners are now thinking that, you know, what are we really paying for? Is there another way to look at marketing, especially if the company has, you know, has previously invested a lot of the marketing budget towards paid media. So they're thinking, is there something else that would work, maybe work better? Yes, there is. It's first-party data. At the same time, as I told you, and as you've noticed, regulation is tightening. And then also we see these unexpected actions from big companies, which makes the market, you know, the marketing landscape unpredictable. Now, if you built your entire marketing like 100% on top of paid ads, then, you know, you're taking a risk. Google might say tomorrow that, you know, you can't get this data anymore, or you can't get that data anymore. I'm pretty active on LinkedIn. What we're seeing now is that people who have previously sworn, you know, they've been very happy with Google Analytics. They just find it now very hard to think about all the GDPR compliance things, and they are basically just saying, you know what, I can't be bothered with the GDPR things. I'm just going to switch to an analytics tool that is that has their data in the EU. So people are even questioning the use of Google Analytics and the benefits of that tool. So we're seeing a lot of opinions changing. If you think about it, for the last 10 years, I'd say we've been, you know, pretty guided by Google Analytics, pretty guided by certain metrics like the CPC, impressions, etc. And all those metrics, as we do a shift or a transition in marketing, also all those metrics are becoming a little bit questionable, or you know, marketeers are starting to question the metrics. As Yanna was talking about, the open rate. I love it how you said it has always been a bad metric, and how the iOS update just, you know, did it easier for you to do your job. And I totally agree with that. So my point here is that the importance of a company's own unique data set that is collected from first-party data sources is growing, and it will be the strategic weapon to have in the future. And then where you collect that data is, of course, from your own media, from your own website, from your email marketing, from social media, etc. Now, the thing is, it takes a while to collect the data. Sometimes I talk with customers and they say, you know, we're just going to implement this or that tool, and that's going to just, you know, make everything better. So we don't have to really think about, you know, data things or whatnot. And that's not the case. When you implement the tool, that's just where the transition begins, and then you have to start making actions towards gathering the data, and it will take a while for you to have something beyond nice to have data, something beyond the data out of the box. So I'm sorry to say the best time was yesterday to start collecting your data, but today is the second best time. And, you know, not to be too negative, a lot of companies have not started collecting their data in a strategic way. But, you know, starting now, and you'll be ahead of the competition. And from the tools that I mentioned, we come to the fact that almost 70% out of in-house marketing teams here in Finland, and I think this applies to many other European countries as well, not so much in the US, but in the EU, we see a lot of marketing teams operating without a specific process. Now, what does that mean? It means that a lot of in-house teams, remember the ones that are supposed to become the heroes of collecting the data and using it, those teams operate without a process, without a systematic way of working. And it means that a lot of the times they operate or they end up just doing work that comes into their Outlook inbox. They do things that other business units ask them to do, which leads to the fact that oftentimes in-house marketing teams are just super busy answering emails, making this or that slideshow, or editing this or that photo, or making wishes come true from product managers or sales. So that leads to the fact that they are often not doing things that would be very relevant to implement the marketing strategy. So they will end up doing a lot of things outside the marketing strategy. Now, this is a problem if you like to turn your marketing team around to actually collect and analyze customer data. And then what I often see is that the CMO will hire a couple of rock star unicorns from maybe a competing company and add those to the marketing team, and then just fingers crossed, change will come. And a couple of unicorn rock stars will probably take you a few steps ahead in the marketing transformation towards own data. But what really will change the entire team and the marketing is changing the process, and we will come back to that in a little bit. So let's go back a little bit to the basics. What is customer data? Most often, it's emails or client IDs. That's the data key, so to speak, that separates one contact from another. And I really, really, really would love you to also have some sort of marketing content in your data set connected to the contact, and then name and maybe address. That's like the basic set of customer data. And that doesn't really, it gives you, maybe you have a newsletter list and this is the data you might have there. But does it really give you an advantage in a business sense? Probably not. It gives you, well, sure, it gives you something, you have a list and you can send out emails to that list, but you end up sending the same email to everyone, right? So what you need to do is supplement the data with other things, such as preferences. What does the contact seem to like? Is he or she more into dresses or pants or any other example here? What's the family situation? That's something that some companies collect. What's the buyer persona? Those are quite interesting if we have HubSpot users attending. You might use these to sort of segment your contacts in terms of how what sort of buyer persona they have. Purchase frequency might be something. These are just examples. I mean, you should have a long list of different kind of data that you look for and you collect. And then one important thing, especially for e-commerce sites, is customer lifetime value, which is very, for many companies, that's like the golden metric. That's like the Northern Star that they look into. So normally the data is located in a CRM or maybe even a data warehouse, sometimes even nowadays in a customer data platform. But it needs to be located somewhere. Typically, not all of the data is located in the same system, but rather it might be spread out a little bit. You might have some in the e-commerce platform, something maybe if you're using an app, you might have something there, and then you have a lot of data in your marketing automation tool or an ESP, of course. So what I see a lot with my clients is that they have all of these platforms, but they haven't integrated those together. So they might have transactional history on an e-commerce platform, and then they have, marketing consents in their marketing automation tool, but these two won't talk together, which makes it really hard to do a data analysis or inspect your customers in more detail. So you need to be thinking how you bring the data together and where you want the data to be collected to. Few examples, or one example actually, what you can then do as a company with the data. This is one of the two big grocery store chains here in Finland. They have an app for consumers, and it collects everything you have bought from the stores or from the online store, which is pretty nice as a consumer. I can see how much I have spent. The blue line here is how much of finished products I have bought. I have not done so well, and how environmentally friendly my purchases have been. And they even can tell me which products I most often buy and how much I used. Well, this is oat milk for coffee. So this is quite interesting, and how they've done this is obviously they have a huge loyalty card system. I think over 1 million people belong to the loyalty program they have. But this is also to show that once you have collected that data, you can give something back to the consumer. Now, this is very interesting for me to, look, and I think they also do like recommendations. If you're not eating enough vegetables, they will send you like a push notification or maybe an email, I think, that you should maybe, buy more vegetables. And of course, this is a huge company that has collected data from I think they started their loyalty program in the 90s. But, they started from somewhere, and you can also start from somewhere and maybe eventually use all of the collected data to produce something of value to your end customer. Now, 3 challenges I've been seeing a lot lately in data collection. First of all, the unique data that you collect is, it builds your competitive edge as a company. But many businesses at the moment rely on out-of-the-box data. As I said, many companies, tend to implement a tool, any tool, be it MailChimp, Smaily, whatnot, HubSpot even. And they just, take it out of the box and won't, for example, create custom properties there. So they just rely on the tool to maybe collect some data. They're not even interested if it does or not. They rely that the tool or the platform will collect some data and maybe we'll go back to it at some point. They never do. So first, if you really want to take advantage of collecting the data, you should really sit down, take a minute and think about what sort of data will build your competitive edge as a company. Because as said, all the companies can have a newsletter subscription list. That's, you know, any company can collect the same list as you have. But if you succeed in collecting custom data that you know is of strategic value to your company, then you're creating a business advantage. What is this? Can everyone see this? Set up professional audio in audio settings. I will click that away. I hope you can hear me. Second of all, the second challenge in data collection. Again, yes, siloed data. You can only use data to your advantage when it's collected on platforms that integrate with other platforms and allow the flow of data. So with our customers, we talk about something which we call a digital ecosystem, and that's the ecosystem that your different tools form together. And if you don't join your different platforms, then your data doesn't flow, and it's very, very hard to do like 360 analysis on your contacts, on your segments, on your data. You'd probably have to do it by hand, though I actually have one client who told me that they can't even export data from their export to an Excel sheet, their data from their e-commerce platform, which basically means that when we were doing strategy work, and I wanted to know how many clients, how many customers they have in their data set currently, so they basically had to guess. And third challenge is that indeed nowadays it is more often the marketing team, the marketing in-house team that's responsible for data collection. But the usage of data, the usage, which means the value of the data, really should be, done by everyone, all the units. So if the marketing team is successful and collects viable data that gives you a business advantage, but doesn't tell about it, or the other units are not interested in the data collected, then the value of data will be limited. And this is actually something that transforms the in-house team's role, because if the in-house team is indeed successful and collects a nice, data set that's, you have custom data and you have all these insights and etc. It is the marketing in-house team that needs to go to the other units and be like, look, this is what we have. Here's our insight. What could we do with this data? Okay, here's a funnel I like to show to my customers about the new funnel, so to say, on marketing. So basically, a lot of my customers and many companies probably around the EU are currently here in their marketing, like I want to say level, but maybe I'll just say level. So they plan out their marketing actions so that they can just reach the right audience, which oftentimes means a lot of paid marketing. But if we think about modern marketing and marketing that is based on first-party data, we have some new things to do in the funnel. First of all, permission to use the data. You need to collect the marketing consent from your contacts. That is like the threshold before you can use that data. And if you're GDPR compliant, you need to also document those permissions in one of your platforms. I think if you really look into the GDPR, they require you to even document the date and the channel where the marketing permission was given. But that is something new that we've seen, grown in significance during the past couple of years. So after you have the permission to use the data, you can start collecting the data. You can have all of the data that we just went through, transactional history, behavioral data, you have the website visits, you have the reactions to newsletters, demographic data, etc. Anything that you can come up with and you can collect, you can use here. And when you have the data collected, you can start making the transformation to do cost-efficient marketing that is more based in your own channels and own data instead of paid marketing. And then you have the conversion, of course. But after the conversion, what I've drawn here is actually something that the data marketing collects can contribute to the whole company. And this is where the marketing team again comes into play and should take a role to take their insights and take the data and just give it to the executive board and here's our stuff. And this, what could we do with this data? We have one company in Finland that has actually collected so much data that they are now able to do predictive analytics. Well, I think we have a couple of those companies, but one special one that I had in mind who can now, take their customer data and analyze the data, and they can now predict which products are going to trend next Christmas, which is pretty amazing. But let's again take a step backward and see how are we doing. And by we, I mean us as marketeers in the EU, in the US, all over the globe, wherever you are. This is just a glimpse of all the things you can do in the modern marketing world, starting from sending mass emails when there's a business need, going all the way to sending the right messages to the right people at the right time with the right content. I forget how Yanna put it, but I think you said something like send content that people want to receive, that they actually are happy with. So this is the ultimate goal. I agree with Yanna in that. But and then in between these two, we have a lot of things you can do on your way to starting to send the right content to the right people at the right time. So you might go through an evolution where you start sending targeted newsletters, and you go on to sending automated emails triggered by behavior such as website visits. And then you might go into segmenting your contacts based on the data that you collected, and maybe even identifying most profitable segments from other segments. And you have so many opportunities here. But the fact is that in my experience, a lot of us are stuck here. So we have all these opportunities because it is a brave new world with all the technological potential. But many are stuck here. You can comment in the chat if you feel stuck in this phase. So I would now like to go into some of my thoughts how you can go from this left down corner towards the right upper hand corner. In other words, how to turn your marketing into a data collection machine. This is how, not I, but McKinsey sees it. They have divided the things that you need for the transformation. So they have divided it into two. So you have the capabilities and you have the enablers. Now, many advanced in-house marketing teams have all of these. They probably hired a copywriter or content marketeer. They have someone in charge of customer experience. They have maybe an analyst doing the measurement. Maybe they have an agency handling their media buys and helping out with strategy and insight, and you know, these are pretty much covered in many companies. These are not a problem when you're turning your marketing around. Oftentimes, if it is, you know, you can just create a new role and hire a person to that role, or get an agency to help you out. Where I see most of the problems in regards to the marketing transformation, moving away from the paid advertising, from the heavy paid advertising towards your owned media and own data collection. So the problems lie here around the enablers, because if you think about in-house marketing teams, they've operated in the way they've operated for years and years. And now the marketing landscape around those teams is changing, which means that the way of those teams are working should be changing as well. So I want to highlight a couple of these enablers that I would like to talk a little bit more about. First of all, data and technology. Let's go into that. So in regards to data and technology, you need to have the right tech in place. I talked about a digital ecosystem, what we call a digital ecosystem with our clients, meaning all the pretty much the marketing tech stack you have in your use. So many companies might start off with something like this. They have their website or their e-commerce platform, or both, and then they connect those to a marketing automation tool or an ESP, such as Smaily or any other tool. And now already this combination gives you the ability to collect data if you sit down and think about what sort of data you want. So what I'm saying is that you don't need to have like 11 different platforms and Salesforce and HubSpot and, you know, just to be sure, maybe even Dynamics on top of that. You can get going, you can get started with only, you know, a couple of platforms that collect data. And then you might, you know, connect your ESP to a CRM if you have one, or you're getting one to connect more data. And maybe you have a customer service platform such as Zendesk or Freshdesk that is connected to your CRM. And now in this case, you have a mass of data already now if you have connected all of these. Most likely you have, you're using your CRM as the main platform, and you can go in there and, you know, just analyze your data in so many ways. But you can continue from this into, you know, connecting the data from the CRM tool to a business intelligence tool such as, I forgot the name, Power BI. To, you know, push the data in a tool that is most often used by the C-suite, by the executive board. And then if you want to segment your audiences further, you might go in and just connect a customer data platform such as Segment. They are gaining popularity or have gained popularity during the past couple of years. So you need to have the right tech in place. I draw a quite extensive digital ecosystem here, but as said, you can get started with only, you know, connecting your ESP to your e-commerce platform or website. But the important thing here is that the technology you choose should suit your team's digital maturity. I've had clients who have gone out and bought like the state-of-the-art system and paid a lot for that system, and then they turn to us asking that, you know, we're not really getting results, and, you know, there's something off, and maybe we need a strategy, or maybe we need like to look into our metrics, and because we're just not, you know, we're not seeing the change. And we went in and audited their way of working, and, you know, it was revealed that they have had this huge ass thing, like this monster platform that had all the potential, but they had basically one person who was in charge of using that, and that one person had the time to use the platform, like I think half a day a week, which meant that obviously they couldn't get all the potential out of the platform because they hadn't changed their organizational structure, and they hadn't dedicated a person to take care of the new way of marketing. So don't go for the fanciest one. Don't go for the most, most expensive one. It will probably only get you frustrated if you're in the beginning of your modern marketing journey. So when you have the right tech in place, you need to do the right content, because content is in so many ways the way to collect the data. So you need to start creating content that gathers the data, and ideally, of course, you would have a modern marketing strategy in place, and you would know what sort of content you want to publish and what sort of data you want to get out of it. If you don't, start doing it, you will learn. You will learn once you get going. When you have done the content, you have gained the data, and after that, you can group your contacts in, for example, in accordance to which product groups they've browsed or which content marketing articles they've read. One of my favorite examples of collecting data is BuzzFeed. I don't know if their tests and quizzes are so popular anymore, but like 5 years ago, I myself might have taken the, which Disney princess quiz, just for the fun of it. And that is one of the most genius ways of collecting data, because you can combine the answers from those quizzes to the contacts. Actually, myself, I think it was last week, one of the hotel chains here in Finland sent me a newsletter asking me to do a quiz, which hotel are you? And believe it or not, I did the quiz. And I was, some of the hotels, I can't even remember which, but in the quiz, they asked me, for example, what is the most important factor I look for in a hotel? And they had like several options, one of which was that the hotel needs to be kid friendly. Now that was obviously a way to ask if I have kids or not. And that is for 100%, I'm 100% sure that they now have in their CRM that I have kids. So it sounds a little bit scary, right? But, it's also very intriguing what you can do with content and quizzes and white papers, etc. You can collect so much data out of those. And then you need to do the right analysis. So you have the right tech in place, you have the right content in place, and then you need to do the right analysis. So you need to plan out where you collect all the data, what's sort of, many people talk about where your master data lies. And it might be different for different companies, but you just need to, again, sit down and think about where you collect the data to, you don't need the most expensive customer segmentation tools. You can just use your CRM, or you can start with your ESP tool, your marketing automation tool. It will take you to great lengths if you've collected something else besides just out of the box data. So it's so easy. Why is not everyone doing this, right? We have to come to this agile way of working. You've seen this slide once before. So basically around 70% of in-house teams are not working in a systematic way. So we have all these opportunities, all the technological platforms we want to use, they're not even expensive. You could collect so much data. Why is not everyone doing this? The reason is this. In-house marketing teams are swamped with the requests and ideas they receive in their inbox from different, from different units in the company. This is when I talk with my customers, they always start nodding at this point. They're like, that's us. It's horrible, and we're, it's sad. People get stressed out. People get even burned out. It's not a good way to go forward. So the answer is the agile marketing method. You probably heard about the agile method. But it's more widely adapted in the IT world. And if you, well, it's pretty many people know it from the IT world, but slowly it's making its way to marketing as well. And what is it? Agile is a way of thinking, rethinking the way you work. I think originally it has originated from Japan, but at the heart of the methodology, if you will, is the customer. So you should only do the tasks and things that are most valuable to the end customer. Thus, you should, stop doing the irrelevant things and focus on the things that are most important to the customer, because those are most likely the things that are also mentioned in your marketing strategy. Why to adapt to the agile method? Well, it first of all, it gives you a process. It gives you a systematic way of working. It ensures that you can always do better. Each time you do things, you can always, look back, see how we did, what do the numbers say, what did we learn, and then decide how you want to do it better next time. One essential thing is in the agile world, people try to go towards a healthy pace in working, meaning that, not faster. Many people, or some people, when they talk about agile, they just tend to think it's like doing things faster. That's not the thing. Instead of faster, you should do more focused things, more tasks that have more value. The agile method also ensures that you have a routine that, it creates sort of like a wheel of working, a way of working where you just go again and again in circles, and then repeat and do better and repeat and do better. And it forces you to prioritize the tasks and reflect a little bit on what's actually essential. Is this email from the product manager X, Y, or Z actually essential, or should I be focused on doing something that is that will create more value to our end customer? So how do you do it then? You could look into things such as Kanban or Scrum, sprints. Many people talk about growth hacking. Normally, when you do growth hacking, you have some sort of sprint template. That's one starting point. But what I always like to say is you can and you should build the model yourself. The customers that I talk with, they built their model themselves. Adapted it many times, updated many times so that it works for that specific team. Typically, agile teams work in cycle of, or sprints of 2 to 3 weeks, where they just, prioritize the tasks from the backlog and check that those tasks are in accordance to the company or the marketing strategy. Why turn to agile? So many good things. It ensures that your strategy is put into action. It ensures that the marketing team actually owns its own agenda. As said, if your team is working, working so that they reply to different ideas and requests that they receive in their emails, That means that they do not own their own agenda, and you should probably look into the process, how you could turn the team more towards owning their own agenda and more, giving some I'm mixing languages here, giving them some independency in the way they work. And it will ensure that you are going towards the change towards modern marketing. Some of the benefits, these might be of interest if we have some CMOs there that have teams that struggle with too much work, etc. Marketeers that work in an agile way tend to be a little bit more happier, a little bit more relaxed in their work than other marketeers. And I did not make this up. It's actually from a study from the US. If you compare the EU and the US, or at least Finland and the US, we see a lot of companies now switching their model towards agile marketing in the US, so it's bound to come to the EU pretty soon as well. Last slide, just a quick idea how you could go about implementing agile. What you could do is just sit down, open a Google Sheets and write down all the tasks that should be done, not the tasks that come to your inbox, but the tasks that derive from your marketing strategy. And then just give them different priorities. You could use a scale from 1 to 5, and that's pretty much your backlog. And then you could call your team and show your sheet and tell them that we're going to start focusing on things that matter, and we're going to start changing our marketing to a more modern way, and we are going to send targeted emails instead of mass emails. Then you together with your team can or should agree on some rules on how you choose the tasks from the long backlog list. And then you start doing the tasks for, let's say, 2 or 3 weeks. And then after that, you come back and see how you did and what you can learn from it. A very, if we have many agile marketeers attending, this is a very rough, very rough scenario, but you get the idea behind agile. Wow, I don't know if I went over time or not. Nobody has shouted yet and is shaking his hand. His head, sorry. This was my presentation. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm now going to stop sharing the screen and let's see if we have any questions.
Thank you, Anna, very much. It was really insightful. Tanel had a question right away.
Yeah, first I will say that this is actually the thing what I think every e-commerce or every company who is working on the e-commerce field has to know, because the idea and the logic and what you have to do is so fundamental. But as one in your slide has, that probably like 70% are collecting only the email and the name.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
And here comes my question. So, in the second or third slide, you had those news pop-ups that about GDPR, there. But I want to ask from you, and probably Yanna, you also know, because you are also in this field where it's data and GDPR are very everyday thing. So how actually the companies are
relating
to this? Because as you mentioned, the MailChimp, I know one huge, cool marketing automation platform who is using also the SendGrid infrastructure. So, And if I'm talking that, hey guys, use us or use something in Europe, they are saying, I don't care. So what is the reality from your view of perspective? That is it companies really thinking about it, or they are just looking, oh, cool tool, I don't care, maybe they are selling all my data to China?
Well, if I go first, you're right. Not a lot of companies and the people in the companies, how should I put this? They don't seem to take GDPR too seriously, if you know what I mean. And by that, I think it's just, by that I mean that it could be just that they are not, not everyone is like me, that they follow up with GDPR news all the time, that they are up to date on different sanctions that have been given. I think that is even too much to ask from a marketing manager in any given company. That is just, they have other things to focus on. But what I also think is that as we move forward, what I'm seeing, like a micro trend now, that people in my network that are marketeers that have been doing this for 10 years, they are now questioning Google Analytics, and as I said before, they are considering changing the tools because they are just too tired of guessing what is okay and what is not. I would love to hear what Yanna thinks.
There you go. I think I have the same kind of thing. People, like even in deliverability, most companies send emails. Has most companies heard of deliverability or even simpler things like authentication? In most cases, the answer is no. In my experience with people getting fined, I'm Canadian, so I know it's important. Can't spam, castle, and GDPR are usually the things that are on my radar. In Canada, so far, what's the most important is intent. So if you didn't know or you don't have the resources to make the positive changes or whatnot, but you want to, the government is not going to come and say, here's $1 billion, you have to pay it, like, too bad, you made a mistake, you're out. The people who get fined are usually who see companies who see the fine more as a cost instead of a fine. They're like, well, if I'm going to spam people or communicate with people I'm not supposed to or whatever, sell it, how much is that going to cost me? So for a company like mine, I mean, the insurance probably would help. I'd be done. A bigger company, if I'm not mistaken, I think it was AT&T, or one of the telephone providers in the United States, they got fined millions of dollars, and they just keep getting fined because they make more money by not respecting the law than they do by respecting the law. On top of the fact that it's a country that's not very strict. I think it's just important to have a checkup once a year with somebody outsourced, if ever you cannot have somebody full-time inside, just to make sure you're going on the right path. I don't think you need to know all the details. If you're a good person, like a good business that's, has good intent, and you're not trying to sneak around, you're not going to have any issues. The government's not going to come running after you unless you're actually doing something.
Yeah, we have a practice here also. In Estonia is a small country, and well, the data protection agency here is not like that powerful. No one has been fined yet, so people take it like lightly, and only big companies are considering and making some changes out of the US or into EU with their tools. But smaller ones, they don't know, they don't care because nothing has happened, and yeah, that's just it.
Yeah, and if you are thinking this more data, we have clients who they're actually having the data what you bought, as Anna, you told that they are asking from you, maybe I don't know what is your shoe size, what color of underwear you are wearing. So and they, all this data, they are also using in the email marketing, means the platform, whatever, if they are servers in States or whatever other country. So all the data will be there.
Yeah.
And the interesting topic was also there that the cleaning company who used that they got fined.
WhatsApp,
So, yeah.
WhatsApp.
So this is like, if you're thinking here, wow, this is like very extreme actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, and as you said that you haven't, I mean, that no Estonian companies have been fined yet. You know, you see the differences between countries, because here in Finland, you know, we're always the member state of the EU that is first in line to follow with all the new regulations and rules. So we also have a very active data officer here who likes to give fines. And what's, you know, again, Andrew wrote to the chat that GDPR feels like a minefield. Indeed, exactly, that's what it is. Because one thing is that if you have a decision made in one of the member states, it is bound to, you know, be relevant in all of the EU. Now we just have to wait how you know the Court of Justice in the EU sees these matters.
But what about e-privacy? Does this like go a bit further than GDPR, or does this also like affect anything? It's a new thing now that no one is yet talking about.
It's a new thing, and you know what? You know, there's a third one coming up. I think it was called Omnibus.
Okay.
So which I can't even remember what it regulates, but it is data and transparency in all of the GDPR, the e-privacy, and the third new one. So what is sure in this world is that the change will continue, and we just need to be alert and see what happens. So, but I just think it's so unfair also at the same time that the environment where we need to work as marketeers, as marketing managers, as CMOs, whatnot, is so unsure that you need to be guessing at this point what you can and can't do.
Okay. You also told that, well, basically all of you have said that content is king. And we see on our own practice also that personalized content, when our clients send like segmentized or even one-to-one personalized emails, that gets like 5 to 6 times more money per one email. So if not anything else, then this is the metric that we say to our clients, this is the metric that you should measure how much money you are doing with those things that you do. But I think one important issue is that when I start data collection on my own, again, GDPR regulates that I have to ask beforehand about everything. Like, do you consent in getting marketing emails? Do you consent in being profiled?
Profiled, yeah.
Yes, sorry. So how do I know beforehand what I should ask from my clients, and how to get it like the easiest way, and not to overburden them with all those questionnaires later?
Yeah, we talk a lot about something called progressive profiling, which means you just go and ask for the permission. And obviously, when you ask the permission, you always need to ask or attach your, I forget what it's called in English, but you know, the sheet where you tell how you're going to use that data.
Privacy policy.
Privacy policy.
Exactly. Yeah. And you know, once you get that, you know, the first soft conversion, you get the marketing permission, then you can send out more content to the contacts that collects more data that you use for further profiling of the contents. So you shouldn't, I don't think you even should, it's not too nice for the end users to, you know, put out a form with 50 fields asking when was your first born.
Okay.
It's a hidden data enrichment.
Yeah.
Exactly.
One last practical question from our side. Agile strategy in marketing seems like a really nice thing, but do you have a recommendation of tools for project management? How to like deal with this agile strategy management? Because we are using Asana at the moment.
Yeah.
It's not like a really nice thing at the moment for us. It doesn't work that way.
Well, Erkki, I don't know if you listened to my talk, but I did say at one point that I did say at one point that it's not about the tools, it's about the process, how you change around that. You know, when you implement a new tool, you also need to change your process and way of working. So what I see in a lot of the cases is that it's not about the tools. You can implement Agile with an Excel sheet or a Google sheet. You can use that, and you know, that's anyway the thing that's behind Asana. It's just a very fine Excel. But in terms of tools, Asana is good. You know, Trello and Monday. You know, a lot of people use
the usual
those.
set. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyone else has a question to Anna? Everyone knows everything about data.
Or everybody don't know absolutely anything and they are ashamed of it.
No. Anna explained it too well. That's why.
Yes.
We don't have any more
thorough.
questions.
Thank you very much, Anna.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time. And now we have our last presenter.
But
not least, Andrew. Andrew is going to talk about email marketing, like from the basics, it seems. Email marketing
Good afternoon.
deconstructed.
Yes. Can you guys hear me?
Yes,
Yeah.
very good.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah. All right. So let me just, I must say that the information that's presented is so eye-opening for me. And I thought email marketing was supposed to be simple. Send emails and that's about it, you know. Send to the right people and you know, and you're done. So, okay. I decided basically maybe it's a good idea to so-called dial down the experience a little bit, and I wanted to share how you can actually look at email marketing in a little bit more simpler way. Okay, so guys, it's okay for me to start. I can't see the screen, so I'm gonna have what I have.
Yes, it's okay to start.
Okay, all right.
We can see your slides.
Awesome. All right. So the aim is this. What I wanted to do is to basically go back and remember the basics of good email marketing. You've heard from Anna about data. You heard about Yanna about, you know, the importance of segmentation, and then basically email deliverability as well. So those are important stuff. But you know, if you get the fundamentals right, then it layers on plus the rest of whatever the specialists have added on. It makes your email marketing a lot more better. The second thing is you want to bring back, you know, I look at bringing back the fun and easy and sexy and a profitable way of doing email marketing. And finally, just to simplify the process of writing emails. Okay. So let's look at the big picture. All right. So in general, in email marketing, there's a few things that you need to look at. And basically one is called capture. Then you have cultivate. And then you have convert or conversion, right? And in these three segments is in your capture is basically the information or the data that you collect from your ads, from your webinar, for example, okay, your email addresses, events like this, and you know, even your lead magnets, right? Let's make this smaller, right? So on the convert side, it's basically your conversion mechanism is either your landing page or your sales page, or maybe to book a call, right? If you're in B2B. Okay, so these are the sales conversion mechanisms. So what I want to focus today is this center part here, which is basically strategy. Then we look at the content. And finally, a little bit on the creatives. Right? So before I move on, just a quick introduction. I'm sure most of you are pretty new to me, and especially in your part of the world. My name is Andrew, and I work with businesses to build deeper relationships with their prospects and also customers so that sales becomes effortless. All right. And I actually started geeking out into email about 2 years ago. I've been using email as a user, as a marketer, for example. But now, since I started this on my own, I went deeper into the mechanics, the psychology, and also the art side of email marketing. And plus or minus, I've got about 30 plus years in the field of print, media, ad sales, web design, and also the last job that I held was B2B sales, basically for a cybersecurity company. So there's a big jump, but generally speaking, I found email was something that I enjoy doing and something that is being used throughout my careers in different areas, different aspects of it. So when I started this little journey as a soloist, so called, I basically picked emails to do this. All right, enough about me. So let's start. So the idea is we are going to do 5 things. One, I'm going to give you a context as to the frustration, the wants, and the mistakes of customers that I work with regards to email marketing. And from there, we're going to look at the strategy, the 3 things, which is basically the who, the why, and the what. And then we will jump on into content, basically to provide you 3 simple guides, right? Nothing earth-shattering, 3 simple guides to write your emails. We look at the email format in the creative section. And finally, 2 tools that I use to facilitate my email marketing and also to help my clients for their email marketing as well. So the 3 frustrations, all right? Most customers that I talk to, first, most of them, when they came to me, is like, Andrew, I really don't know what to write for my emails. Can you help me do my emails, all right? The second thing is, they come in because they are seeing low response, either is open or clicks. And most of them have this fear that, if I send emails now to my list or to my contacts, for example, people will unsubscribe, right? Now, I have this little advice for anybody who fears that sending emails, no matter how frequent, either once a week or twice a week or 3 times a week or even daily, right? When you fear unsubscribe, the only solution, the only magical pill is not to send any emails. If you don't send any emails, there will never be any unsubscribe, right? So the reason is that as long as you send email out, there will be people who unsubscribe, and which is good. And you should actually welcome it. Like Yana has mentioned, even in my practice, in my newsletters, I do encourage my subscribers to unsubscribe if the moment they find it, basically if it's not useful. And I actually put a little so-called notification at the top of my email and say that, I'm sending you maybe 2 times a week or maybe 3 times a week, and you find that this is not useful, here's a little link immediately at the top before the rest of the content for them to unsubscribe or either to stop receiving, the daily emails that they want. So that way, you are basically segmenting to a certain extent people who really want to hear from you, and then people who are probably interested in the first place and eventually found out that, yeah, probably whatever you write or whatever you do is not to my taste. That is totally fine, right? So the third one is they come in and says, I've been sending emails, I'm not getting any sales, or I'm getting very low sales attributed to emails. Can you help me do something about it? Because I'm hearing all these good things about, the higher ROIs of emails, but I'm not seeing it on my emails, all right? So generally, let's address these 3 things. So what are the 3 ones? Naturally, what are the 3 ones is for them to be able to write emails effortlessly, right? Nobody wants to, do email marketing so-called full-time because they have other things to do, product development, sales, day-to-day operations. So there's this fear that if I start email marketing, if I write maybe 3 times a week, I'm going to hunch down and spend lots of time thinking out content and writing my emails, right? So can you make it easier for me so that probably I spend 20 or 30 minutes a day or so to just write my emails and send it out, right? The second thing is they obviously, instead of low, they want to see higher engagement and, they want to get quality audience. And then the third one is, if possible, contribute to sales. Otherwise, what's the point of doing email marketing if it doesn't help sales or it doesn't aid in the progress of getting to a sale, right? So And because of the chase, for them to actually achieve this, there are 3 mistakes that they tend to do. One is treating emails as a sales closing tool, right? That means the moment I send email, I expect sales to come in immediately, right? Or I use sales by sending emails to actually trigger sales. Now, in actual fact, emails are great for them to get closer, a step closer to the sales. Remember, we talked about the 3, basically the big picture. Your sales conversion mechanisms are basically your sales page or even your book call, right? And not the emails to actually get you close. In e-commerce, the same thing. You send emails, they click, they still have to go to an e-commerce site to complete the transaction, all right? So that's the sales page, or that's your landing page. The second thing is, they tend to treat subscriber, or so-called mark the subscriber as potential to get money from them. So every time their interest is, I want to grow my list, because if I grow my list, I'm going to grow my revenue, because each one of them is going to contribute $1 US dollar a day, a month, or whatever it is. And this is what I aim for. So the approach or the mindset is totally wrong. And finally, like Yana and also, basically Anna has mentioned as well, they don't have, or they don't show respect by sending contents that is irrelevant. As far as I'm concerned, is if I have a 10,000 email list, I'm going to send to everybody, send a message, irrespective whether they like it or not, I don't care. And if they don't do whatever Anna has mentioned with regards to your data management, also the data classification, then what will happen is basically your emails is, a lot of people will leave and people get offended, right? So these are the 3 mistakes. Emails, when people jump into email marketing, they tend to do stuff like this. So now let's get into the strategy side. We've covered the context, the frustrations, the wants, and also the mistakes. So 3 things. When we talk about the big picture earlier, we talk about basically your strategy, your content, and also creative. So I'm going to start with the strategy side. Okay, and the strategy side is very simple. There's only 3 W's. It's basically this. In order for you to write emails that matters or send emails that matters, you got to start with basically who, right? Then you do why. Let me fill this one up. And finally, the what. You got to answer these 3 things: the who, the why, and the what. So let's move on. So who should I actually email to? All right. If you don't know, then basically your emails is basically just at a blast. Is basically a nuisance to your readers. So generally speaking, there are two groups of people broadly. One is either their prospects or lead, right? The other one is customers, right? Generally these 2. So let's focus on these 2. So for prospects, it's very simple. You want to look at, and you need to understand first, what are their pains and problems, right? And these are basically the symptoms, right? For example, somebody says, well, I'm not getting leads. I want more leads. I'm not getting sales. I want more sales. So generally, those are the symptoms, but you need to go deeper. But people identify with symptoms. So it is important for you to be able to understand and address this when you write your email. So once you know who, and then you understand the pains and problems, that's the next step. And from there, obviously, us being humans, we always aspire to be better. We aspire for better things. So there are aspirations, right? So where they are now and basically where they want to be. So this is another angle that you can actually use to write to them, right? And then finally, in your emails, you want to look at giving them quick wins, right? Not the link-minded quick wins, but basically even in your email itself. And you can achieve that by giving tips, providing education, or even ideas to help them now. Why do you want to do that? Because if you can actually demonstrate that you can help them now, you actually, to a certain extent, you are building trust with them. Okay, so if for prospects, these are the 3 things that you need to look at, their pain and problems, their aspirations, and also quick wins. Now for customers, it's a lot more easier, all right? They've already been your customer. They want to know what's the next step. Tell them what's the next step. Show them the next path, So if they're on Smaily, for example, what's the next step? What else can they do to actually leverage on the items or the assets or the products that they've bought from you, okay? And so that is basically covering the who side, your prospects and also your customers. Now we're going to look at the why. So for prospects, it's very simple, right? Your emails are basically to get them into a buying conversation with you without being salesy or even pushy. So basically, you are feeding information, you're providing education, you're talking about their pains and problems, you're providing quick wins, for example, to get them closer to the point and says, okay, let's get on a call with you, or I think you have a solution for me, and this is your offer, I'm going to get it, right? So that's what the keyword is, without being pushy or salesy, okay? For customers, then it's easy. You want to get them, there are two things. You either want them to get them to buy more of different products that you have, or you get them to buy more often, okay? And then this is where you tell them, basically give them a path to the next step and what they can do, and so that they can either buy more or they can buy often, okay? So lastly, what do I email? Okay, the last W. So in, there is this idea of 5-level awareness, which is basically popularized by Eugene Schwartz, one of the legendary copywriters. And if you allow me, I'm going to write this down. So generally, the first awareness is unaware, all right? The second is problem aware, and I'll explain to you briefly if you're hearing this for the first time. And you have solution aware, okay, sorry. Should be this, solution aware, right? And you have your product aware. And finally, you have most aware, okay? Now, what you want to do, all right, when you email, when you say, so, I've got this, what do I email? I've got my list, I know their pains and problems, for example, if they're prospects, customers have their data, right? So you want, for example, especially for prospects and leads, okay, because they are new to you, your emails should take them on a journey from the point of here to this point, okay? Now, what do you write? Each one of this section here provides you a guide as to what are the information or what are the things that you can write in order for you to take them from unaware to the point of being a problem aware. That means they don't know there was a problem. When they receive an email through a series of emails, they know that, oh, okay, I realized this is a symptom. I didn't know that I was dizzy because my heart may have an issue, or maybe there was some issues with my veins, for example, right? So that's the next step. So the moment they are aware of the problem, then obviously, naturally, they want to look for solutions. Okay, so your next step of emails that you can send, depending on the stages of awareness that they are, would then address this. From the point of solution aware, then obviously they want to go to product aware. So this is where they say, okay, I look at your solution, you seem to have, I know these symptoms, thank you for telling me, I'm aware of it, and I've been looking for solutions, and your product seems to fit. And finally, to the point of most aware. Now you realize in general, this 5-level awareness basically contribute to what we now know as you know, you like, and eventually you trust. Okay, so this is, if you want to answer the question, what do I email? Here are the 5 areas that you can possibly do and write on your emails. Okay, right, so to summarize, know, like, and trust. If you know, they need to know who you are and how you can help them. Like, you educate, either you educate, you entertain, or you inform, but the key word is being valuable to them, right? You are not treating them as a mark to be getting to get the money out of them, but basically to serve them, right? And finally, trust, by showing them how you can actually help other people like them, and why buying a certain product or certain item or even a service can actually help change their lives. You're not selling, you're basically putting up your case for them to consider. And lastly, to demonstrate your skills, your knowledge, for example, by teaching or sharing. It can be done through webinars, it can be done through emails, it can be done through blog and articles. There are many ways of doing it, but basically demonstrating your skill, okay? And for customers, there are only 4 things. You either, if you're on e-commerce, you just want to remind them, basically for abandoned cart, for example, those are pre-customers. Remind them that you may have products on their carts that is not being concluded. Why? Give them reason why they should continue to basically proceed to buy. For existing ones, you can get them to buy more by making new offers and buy more often. You know, if they are already on your, if you're already your customers and you want to look at replenishments, for example, renewals, replacement, and these are generally for B2B, right? And what else? They have already your customers. Turn them into your fans and advocates. Get them to basically give you referrals, all right? So for customers, these are the things you write. For prospects, look at the 5-level awareness, pick different aspects, understand basically at what stage, and then fit your emails accordingly. So what happens is this: by virtue of you sending emails and addressing their concerns at the right time, right? Like the 3 other speakers have mentioned, you're actually creating this idea called mental availability. And this is an idea brought forward by Professor Byron Sharp from the Edinburgh Bars Institute. The definition is this: to increase the probability that a buyer would notice, recognize, or even think of a brand in a buying situation. So here, the keyword is, when they are in a buying situation, you want them to think of your brand. And you can achieve this through very strategic use of your emails. Not blasting them every day, but basically based on different stages of their life or different stages of their customer relationship with you, okay? So that done, we're going to cover the next thing, which is basically content. And this is very simple. There's only 3 guides. And here, this is the one that we're talking about. Okay. 3 things. Just be clear, right? Nothing fancy. I am basically not a native English speaker. So generally, I know to write in a very simplest form, because most of my readers, for example, are the same. They may not necessarily be native English speakers. So keep it simple, use simple languages, and more importantly, to know what your readers want to experience. Are you going to educate them? Are you going to inform them, for example? Is that an announcement? Keep it simple. The second thing is, I like to write my emails in a conversational tone, as if I'm actually speaking to you, right? Nothing formal. And normally, once I write my emails, I tend to verbalize it out loud so that I can actually hear, because people tend to relate better when you use languages as if you're talking, right? So write it as a conversational as possible. And finally, your call to action. People don't really like to be asked to think before they do something, neither especially you ask them to guess. So when you write your emails and there has to be a call to action, you need to basically tell your readers very explicitly, what do they need to do next? Do they supposed to click this to watch a YouTube video? Are they supposed to click this to go to the sales page? Are they supposed to basically reply to your emails? As simple as that. Sometimes you need to just put in your email and says, just click reply and let me know what you think. All right. Be specific as possible so that people know immediately what they need to do. All right. Don't make them guess. So finally, the last 2, the email format. One that I use mostly, I have 3 newsletters that I do, and I work with clients with their own newsletters as well. I will look at basically the HTML, or basically called a hybrid emails. Now, if you look at the emails, if you have signed up for this, and obviously you do, that's why you're here, you've received an email from Smaily, and you will see an email with an image, text, and also some buttons, and then the rest of the text, right? So this is what you call a hybrid email. The pure HTML emails are those emails that you receive from e-commerce stores, right? It's nice graphics, majority graphics, for example, and very little text, and also a buy button or shop now button. That is the HTML emails. On the other end of the spectrum, you have plain text emails, which is generally when we send our Gmails to our customers, or when we in conversation with our colleagues, for example. Those are just text, right? Nothing fancy, no formatting, no headers, nothing like that. But what I'm suggesting is to make it simple, to make it attractive enough, a balance between, e-commerce full of image kind of emails, and also just plain text, which is basically not really that. It's great for deliverability, right? But may not be necessarily good for marketing. Okay, so the middle path, because it allows you to do something like this. I can still write a hybrid email and make it as a text form. The difference is I can then embed links, right? and I can still use or make use of the tracking pixel to know basically in terms of your opens or even your clicks. And I can actually use that, for example, by using email formats like this to basically write different set of emails based on triggered by their clicks. So that's the next level of personalization. Most of us will know that when you say email personalization, will be something like email that starts with hi Andrew, right? That's the most basic level. But if you go deeper, if you can write emails based on their click activity, very specific emails or flows based on their click activities, that would mean you'll be able to personalize based on their interests, based on their intent. And now, besides just segmenting at the surface level, you're now segmenting by their action, right? So my recommendation is to use hybrid emails. You can then decide, depending on events or depending on situation, to have images just to add that little fizz and pizzazz into your emails. Or if you just want to communicate a certain information, you can then switch between these both text easily. So in terms of email formats, use a form of hybrid email, majority text as much as possible. And from time to time, you may just feel fun and then add some GIFs, or maybe just one GIF image, or maybe just one image at the top of your header if you want. So you can actually combine those for you to do emails quickly. And these are the things, the 5 things that your emails or you can use emails for. You're using emails to build your authority, right? Remember, you own your space primarily because the email addresses, you own them. You're not sharing, it's not third party. Obviously, you don't buy these emails, the email's address. And Yanna is right in the sense that if you get organic signups, it's even better. Best if you do double opt-ins, and then you just want to make sure that they really, really want to receive your emails, okay? So allow you to build authority. Then the second thing is basically build relationships, all right? Email is 52 years old this year, and it is still the best private one-to-one conversation communication channel, but that ones that you can do at scale, right? Especially remember when I talk about emails triggered by their actions, those are the kind of emails that is highly segmented because we know what they did, what they took action for, and we're going to supply information according to that and nothing else. If they don't click, they will not get these emails. If they did, they will get a series of emails, right? And emails obviously can be used to build trust. I've got customers coming to me, people who don't know me, they're on my list. And over time, through my newsletters, for example, they then contact me and then they eventually become my customers. The reason why is because I show up, provide information, provide knowledge, provide value. This is how you can use emails to build trust, especially if you're coaches, trainers, for example. This is a great tool for you to use. And then you can also use emails to build bridges. Okay, this is where a little bit more advanced, where you start building email sequences, right? So let's say you want to take them from point A to point B, but in between, there are many steps for them to get to point A to point B. B being, let's say they buy something from you, all right? So you can now use emails and send maybe once a day, not more than that, or maybe once every 2 days, to actually build up the story, build up to your ideas, to the point that they understand where you're coming from, how you can help them, and how they can benefit, more importantly, from your service or your products, right? So you can use email to slowly build as a bridge for your ideas, all right? To connect the dots, for example, to strengthen your arguments, right? And also to build your story. You can drip this information slowly step. And lastly, to build momentum, right? So if you remember, we're doing emails for 2 things. One is to target prospects or to address the prospects. The other one is to existing customers, right? So you can actually use emails to get them closer to the sales. So for example, like Anna from Powton, when you do a webinar, you have a series of emails going out, right? So technically, webinar is almost like a sale because you want them to get them to attend. That's the next step, right? So your emails is to remind them to come in, remind them to basically either sign up, then remind them to show up. And if they don't show up, to let them watch the replays. So every single steps of emails actually builds momentum to the point that Powton is basically maybe the best solutions that I could use for what I need, right? So that's how you can use emails to build momentum. And finally, let's look at 2 tools that I personally use, And some of you may have been using it, but I'll share them nevertheless. One is a tool called 𝐄𝐫𝐤𝐤𝐢 𝐷𝐷𝐷𝐷𝐷. You've probably heard of Grammarly, right? If you write emails, you've probably been using, or write articles, you've been using Grammarly. I use Grammarly too, but recently I discovered this tool. The idea is allow me to actually cut my writing time by half by using so-called state of AI. Okay, this is basically a blurb from them, right? But why I use them is because of this. For example, I took a copy of the landing page from Smaily for this particular event, and I want to say, can I shorten this, right? Remember my emails is, I'm not gonna write a 10,000 words kind of email copy to my readers. I just want to make it shorter and deliver the message and get out of their lives, right? So I can use a 𝐄𝐫𝐤𝐤𝐢 solution like this. I'll just copy and paste this information from the website, and then it will, through the AI, it will spit out some options for me to shorten it. Now, you may not necessarily want to take all of them, but the idea is now you have a tool that allows to bounce ideas from you and says, okay, maybe this is a better way of describing it. Remember, I'm not a native English speaker and also a writer. So tools like this allows me to quickly get information or basically shorten my emails that I want to write. Now, for example, if I don't want to shorten and I'm happy with what I've written, I may want to look at, for example, can I do fluency? By the way, I'm not affiliated with 𝐄𝐫𝐤𝐤𝐢 in any ways, but just to share what I use. So if you want to look at, for example, if I write this and I read it aloud, it doesn't seem to gel, doesn't seem to flow, right? So throw into 𝐄𝐫𝐤𝐤𝐢 and look for fluency, the options here. And it will then basically shoot up versions that, according to the AI, is a lot more easy to read, a lot more fluent. You may not necessarily want to copy everything, but the idea is you now have ideas, or you have options that you can just take one or two, or maybe trigger a new way of describing what you need to do. So you can shorten, you can write for fluency, you can actually look at stuff like simple, being creative, for example. So it's free. You can go for the paid one, but it's free for you to test out. So I would suggest, if you want to write quick emails in a quick way, in a most simpler way, and you want to shorten it, without having to go through that massive thesaurus dictionaries and all those stuff, basically being a William Shakespeare. So you can use a tool like this to help you speed up your writing, okay? But the writing has to come from you. 𝐄𝐫𝐤𝐤𝐢 can only shorten or give you options, but the core writing has to come from you. So you can run away from that, okay? The next one is Mail Tester. I use this a lot for my clients whenever, even for sometimes for myself on occasional check. I want to look at basically, before I send a newsletter or send an email out, is it very spammy, or what's the market, or what's the tools out there that's telling me? So I use a tool called Mail Tester. It's very simple. All you need to do is free. You basically go to the website. They will give you a random generated email address. So in your email, when you send, for example, you have an option to send your test email. You add, instead of sending that test email to yourself, you add this URL in. And what it does is, quickly, once the moment the email has been sent out, it will then speed up some options for you, or basically some reports to tell you basically, what's your score like? Are you 9 out of 10, 8 out of 10? And what's the reason why you're not getting, let's say, 10 out of 10, for example, or what? So you will see something like this. In this case, they will tell you basically what are the information that you can improve, right? And then this is the one. So if it's orange, generally is acceptable. If you want, you can proceed with it, or if you can fix it, fix it. In my case, for example, certain IPs is something that I cannot control because I'm running a shared IPs, right? So that's something that is up to my ESPs. But other than that, for example, like this, at least unsubscriber header, my ESP doesn't have this feature, so there's nothing much I do. But generally speaking, what I'm interested is my content considered spam, all right? Is my email basically domain properly authenticated, all right? And so these are the things. Are there any broken links? Okay, is the content considered safe? So once I have this, within a couple of minutes, you will know the state of your email that you want to send out. If it's good, then by all means proceed to send out. If not, then go and fix it, right? So simple, 2 tools. And these are the URLs. You want to look at writing, basically way to shorten your writing or to add ideas for you to write. Look at 𝐄𝐫𝐤𝐤𝐢, and you want to test the spamminess of your newsletter, of your email, then go to a site called mailtester.com. Non-affiliated to them is something that I use, and I think something that you may want to give it a try. What else do I have? So we have covered basically now the strategy, the content, and the creative. So just do a quick recap. We've done the strategy part, which is basically the who, the why, and the what. Right? So if you're talking to the prospects, remember pain, problems, aspiration, and how you can give them quick wins in your email. And once you know why, it's basically to have them closer to a buying conversation. Not to close now, but get them closer, a step closer, right? Either to watch a video or attend a webinar, for example, every single step that gets you closer to the sale. And by doing so, you're actually building your know, like, and trust. Remember the 5 levels of awareness. And in terms of content, it's the same, make sure your emails are clear, write in simple language, for example, make it conversational, right? Because people are receiving 80 to 100 emails or 120 emails a day. The very least you can do is have emails that's easy on the eyes and easy to read, right? If they want to read something more complicated, go and get a novel. But then you're not going to achieve that with your emails, all right? And then obviously the CTA has to be very clear. And the format that you want to use, and I use it personally myself, you use hybrid emails, which allows you the flexibility to add image if you want to. And if not, you can just do plain text by the HTML form, because it allows you to take advantage of the tracking pixels and also the email links, okay? Or even the buttons, if you want to use it. And if you're a customer, show them what's the next step. They're already a customer. What do they go from here? All right? Show them the path. That's your responsibility. And you can do that through emails. And you do that because you want to get them to buy more or buy more often, right? And what you want to do it is basically to commit. If they are on your e-commerce site, if they have an abandoned cart, commit to buy and tell them why they need to buy. Buy more often, and also turn them into advocates. In terms of content and creative, it's the same, irrespective whether you're talking to your prospects, also your customers. And with that, if you'd like to connect with me on LinkedIn, I'm mostly active on LinkedIn nowadays, and I do have other contents that I post on LinkedIn related to email marketing and also even the psychology of email marketing, based on my personal experiences, like what I'm sharing with you here. Just scan this little QR code, it will lead you to my LinkedIn profile page, or if not, if you like, you can just look for Andrew Wong TM. That is basically my link profile. And with that, gentlemen, I'm done.
Thank you, Andrew. Thank you very much. We have actually, I have a remark, because a lot of clients who are just starting out with email marketing are asking, how should I do the basic things? And now we know. We will direct them to your video. We will upload it to YouTube, and this is like the best place to start, I think. And the next part,
thank you so much,
everyone else's presentations. Thank you very much. But we have a few questions in the chat also. Do you know does MailTester work only for English content, or maybe some other bigger languages also? Vivika there is suggesting a tool named ClockApps that she's using. I know also analyzes content and makes suggestions based on that.
Yeah, ClockApps actually go deeper. ClockApps look at inboxing. If you're on a free plan, normally when you sign up, the first time you sign up, they give you like 3 units for you to use. ClockApps is one step further. I didn't want to complicate the matters. Normally, I would start off with MailTesters, but you're familiar with ClockApps? Yes. Now, the second thing is, in terms of language, I've got customers who send emails in the native Chinese language. So far, it's okay. I've not tested, I don't have other languages, customers for that, but you can try it out and see.
Okay.
Well, our clients mostly send in Estonian, Russian, or Latvian, or something like that, and
yes, Northern Europe languages.
And MailTester does not give suggestions based on those languages, at least. So, but the other bigger ones we don't know of. Yeah.
If I come across any which caters to other language, which is obviously a big market, then definitely I'll reach out and let you know about it. But
Yeah.
at the moment, I don't.
Natalia is asking also, do you have any experience in using tools for generating leads on LinkedIn? For example, 𝐓𝐴𝐺𝐸. Is it for you, Andrew, or can someone answer this? Because I don't know anything about LinkedIn. Maybe Tanel knows.
Yeah, but those tools, those are very shady things, because there is absolutely opportunity to get blocked out if you are using some fancy third-party optimization lead generations for the LinkedIn.
Yeah, I agree with Tano. I'm kind of old school. The way I want to generate leads is basically proving myself and providing real content. And if people like my content, they will reach out if there's a need, rather than trying to scrape emails and all this, from LinkedIn and all those things. Yes, Tana is absolutely right. You may get banned. So, just be honest. I mean, Yanna has spoken about it. Even in email marketing, you don't want people to treat you this way, then don't do it to others. Show respect. If you're worried about GDPR, and all those things, I think the simplest way from a person with 2 years experience of actually doing email marketing is just show care and provide information to the people who needs it. If they don't, by all means, don't disturb them. Don't be a nuisance. If you're not going to add value to their world, at the very least, don't be a nuisance in their world.
Yes, great.
And the second thing about LinkedIn, that now there is the opportunity to do, as a person, you can do the newsletter, and as a company also you can do the newsletter. So if you want to do the newsletter using your LinkedIn contacts, do it in LinkedIn. Why you have to scrape them out? Because actually in the privacy policy of LinkedIn, yes, you can take the contacts out if the people have shared the thing, but you can't use it. Just I will
add them to the mailing list.
Yeah, because I have like 9,000 of followers, and if I'm scraping them out and will start sending, this is absolutely no go.
That would be a great customer base, Tanel. You haven't shared it with me yet.
I've tested in my earlier part of doing it earlier, in my journey in LinkedIn. I actually invited them to join my newsletter. All right. Then I found out that those who actually joined the newsletter, the quality, they will either unsubscribe or basically they do not engage. Right? They come in probably because of certain link magnets. They don't really know you. So now what I do is I actually post content on LinkedIn, and if they are really, really interested and they follow and they like what I do, then only when they DM me and all those things, I would then invite them to join, my newsletter. Now, those who join from then on, because they have really consumed content for you from LinkedIn, they know who you are. They understand where you come from. They either agree or don't agree with your tone of, the way that you write or whatever it is, or your ideas. And when they join the newsletters, they're 100% in. Whether they become a customer is another thing. But at the very least, you're increasing the quality of customers, because you can use social media to actually as your net, but your emails eventually is your fishing rod, right? Because out of 100 or 1,000, maybe 1 or 2 will become your customer. Then that's totally fine.
Yeah. Okay, great. I sent 2 links to the chat. We will upload the recording of this webinar to our YouTube channel. You can subscribe already. And if you want to know in advance about upcoming webinars in Estonian or English or other languages, then subscribe to our newsletter, where we are going to talk about those things every time instead of other things we are sending. But regarding today's event, I would summarize with a few takeaways that I got. First of all, email is, I think, one of the best tools to convert prospects into leads. If anyone objects, you can tell it. The most important thing is sending your irrelevant email is no good.
But if I want to make money and then just sending and sending and
you will lose.
Okay.
This does not work. With data, collecting first-party data, let's send better targeted emails, which work better monetarily, and every other way. People are more engaged and do not want to unsubscribe if you talk with them politely. And it lessens the reliance on third parties, which might be legally also a good thing to have. The goal is to give value with your emails to your customers. Well, basically, as Andrew said, this is one-on-one communication platform. Doesn't matter that I send 1,000 emails to 1,000 people at once. I want to talk with them personally. I want them to, communicate that what I'm sending is important to them. Unsubscribe is okay if they don't want to hear from me.
Yeah, but
let them go.
This is actually absolutely brilliant. The unsubscribe is okay because the concept of this is that if you can unsubscribe, you don't report spam.
Yeah.
But as I told earlier to Yanna, that most of the clients thinking, okay, if there are so much unsubscribers, then I can just losing money. They don't think about the reputation. They're just thinking about the money.
Yeah. And lastly, if you are just starting out or don't know what to do, then learn what your competition is doing, participate in webinars, test, measure the results and adapt based on that. And that seems easy to me. How hard is it to send an email?
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
That's it. Yes. So huge thank you to Anna from 7030, Anna from Bowtoon, Andrew and Yanna. It was so good.
And until next time.
Thank you for the opportunity, guys.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.